Hello, everyone, and welcome into our latest live broadcast. Today it is Sunday, the 24th of May, 2026. I'm CareyHolzman, and today we're going to be reviewing yet another mini PC that is very budget-minded, but not short on power or expandability. In fact, maybe not one of the most powerful, but one of the most expandable mini PCs at this price range, and I can't wait to dig into it. But first, I want to say a shout out and a thank you to our friends over at VIP-URCDKEYs. They're the ones who I go to when I need a Windows or Office license key because I run a professional business and I've been in the industry for 35 years. I started my business about 30 years ago. And boy, for the longest time, I was buying the Microsoft Windows from the vendors that I was buying parts from. And it was costing $99. And I got to tell you, it's very hard to be competitive in this industry when you're paying retail prices. Imagine if McDonald's were buying burgers at your local grocery store and then cooking them and then selling them, they'd have to mark the price up, right? So to be able to get wholesale pricing is very, very important in order to be competitive in the marketplace. And of course, what home consumer wouldn't want wholesale pricing? Of course, the problem with wholesale pricing in most cases is you don't get much in the way of warranty or support. You're buying in bulk, so you might get a few bad ones. Companies like Best Buy often have arrangements where things that are bad or returned just simply get destroyed rather than exchanged or replaced. And it's just a numbers game. It's a financial game. Sometimes they're compensated for it. Other times they take it as a tax write-off. It depends on the arrangement with that particular vendor. But I will say that I'm not at that scale. I'm at a bigger scale than most home users by far, but at a teeny tiny little scale compared to Dell or HP, I'm insignificant. So since I'm sitting between those two worlds, where do I go? Well, after doing a lot of research and finding a lot of bad key sellers out there, including those that are selling stolen keys or have no support or send me a key that doesn't work and then don't do anything, but they don't respond, they don't fix it. In those situations, I think that finding a legitimate key seller online is a challenge. At least it was for me because there's so many of them. How do you know who are the trustworthy ones from who are the scammers? Well, that's what I'm here to tell you. I've done that work. I've been scammed dozens and dozens of times buying product keys from anywhere from eBay and Etsy to random websites that other content creators promote. And I got fed up with it because if it burns me, it burns my customer, it burns my business. At that point, I'm not saving money, it's costing me money. So for the sake of saving my own business, I had to do the research. And what I came up with is this company, VIP-URCDKEYs. And I tested them numerous times to make sure that the support was consistent and that the product was consistent. And I did all my research, so you don't have to, although I encourage you to do it. Just the same, just don't take anybody's word for anything. And if you look underneath any of my videos, like if we go back to a couple months ago right here, here's a video we did, and you scroll down below my name, right? You see that box right there that shows how many views the video has? Click on the More button because those are the video notes I keep encouraging the viewers to look at. Now, our regulars here already know this, but there's a lot of people, about 50% of our viewers have never seen our content before, despite making content for the last 18 years. Many of you are seeing me for the very first time. So in those video notes, you'll see those links for Windows and Office product keys. Now, VIP-URCDKEY sells a lot more than just this, but I don't want you to have to search for it. If you want to, you can go there directly. You don't have to use our links. They're not commission-based. I don't make any money if you buy this or you don't. I should say I don't make any more money. And when you add a product to the cart, you need to sign in with an email address and password so they can securely process your payment and send you your product key. When you enter the coupon code, which I just did there, of Carey, you get an additional 25% off the already low retail price. And then after that, you'll submit your order and pay for it. And you'll see they have numerous different ways to pay. And within about 2 minutes after your payment is gone through, you'll get an email. It doesn't matter if it's day or night, a holiday, a weekday, a weekend. It's pretty much very consistent when it comes to getting a very fast response. You're not going to wait till the next business day. You're not going to wait until, you know, say it's a Memorial Day tomorrow and the banks will be closed. It still works. You'll still get your key and a product link to download. If you don't already have the Windows or Office, they'll provide a link to it, which does come directly from Microsoft. And that's it. Everything's online activation, which is good because Microsoft removed telephone activation because they were tired of getting burned by the scammers themselves. So that was a big red flag for me when I was investigating all of this, was many of the key sellers out there would give you instructions to call Microsoft. And that was a major red flag. If you have to call Microsoft, that means something you're doing is suspicious and requires auditing. And in most cases, because you're a victim basically and you're buying this key, when you would call the phone activation line, it would generally activate the first time. The problem is when a particular key gets used or attempted to be reactivated a number of times in a certain period of time, Microsoft flags it as stolen or suspicious and won't activate it anymore. Now, these keys aren't intended to stay with the computer. So one of the ways that they discount these keys is they tie them to the motherboard the same way Dell and HP and Lenovo do. You can't move this key to another computer any more than you can move the license plate off of your car onto another car. It's completely illegal unless you file a bunch of paperwork and pay some processing fees. Well, in much the same way, that's possible with these Windows keys, but it's just cheaper to buy a new one, and you could buy 10 new ones and still be cheaper than one retail price key. That's how crazy overpriced Microsoft is compared to what Dell, HP, and Lenovo are paying. So I want to put that out there for you to save some money and not get ripped off. If you don't want to use it, don't do it for me. You do it for you. If you want to go risk buying somewhere else, I'm not going to stop you and I'm not going to talk you out of it. This is there as a public service for our audience. It is not otherwise known in the sense that our discount code here, you would only know about it if you watch my videos. You would not find out about it any other way. So for those who know, you know things other people don't, and you'll save money and buy a legitimate product where other people roll the dice or pay more. With that, I want to say welcome in, and I'm super excited to get to this unboxing. I've never seen this computer before. This is another model of AOOSTAR, and I think currently in late May of 2026, AOOSTAR has a number of computers that are so affordable. As much as I love Miniswarm and the variety, Miniswarm offers a little bit of everything. AOOSTAR seems to be really focusing their content on or their products rather, on a very budget. I'm sorry, I'm being distracted.
All right, email.
You can come down and tell me email many times today. I'm okay with that. So AOOSTAR has a variety, a very large variety of $400 or below of different mini PCs, like 4, 5, 6 of them, which is more than I can think of any other manufacturer. Different designs, different CPUs, Intel, AMD, different number of M.2 drives, fingerprint readers, without fingerprint readers, all below $400. And we're going to look at one of those today because I think right now where we're at economically and in the industry, they're sort of leading the way very quietly, and there's not a lot of content creators paying them much attention. In fact, I went to see if anybody else did reviews on these, and I'm not really finding much. I'm finding some reviews done in other countries, and those reviews have very few views, and they don't really contain a lot of technical information. Just people unboxing and saying, hey, isn't this great? And I think they deserve better than that. So we went out and we bought this using the funds that we receive from our members. And we go to Amazon using the Amazon gift card. You'll frequently see Amazon gift cards offered here or contributed here. And that's what we use the gift card money for, so we can continue to keep doing these kind of videos. These videos are very expensive to make. Today's video cost me nearly $400. on top of the fact that I'm investing my time and all my equipment and all the expenses involved in producing this for you. But I do it because I love it and I love my audience. I love the community. And I would say I love the community a lot more than I love the audience. I'll tell you that right now. The community is amazing, and we would love for you to be a part of it if you wish to be around a bunch of nice people who share your interests in computers. But if you don't, then please don't join us, because we'll just, if you're rude or if you're trying to disrupt, you're not going to stay here very long before you get kicked out. We have a very tight community, worldwide community. And many of these people have made friends, even though they've never met, and live on opposite sides of the planet. And it's an amazing part of this YouTube channel that you won't find very often on YouTube. A lot of things are very competitive, whether it's one content creator against another one, or members in a community against each other. We're not competitive here. We're friendly and supportive. And if you're friendly and supportive, there's lots of room to grow this community, and we'd love to have you as a part of it. And if you are looking for that competitive nature, just go to another YouTube channel. That's all I can tell you, because we're not interested in it, and we're not interested in that attitude. With that being said, a super shout out and thank you to everybody joining us in the chat room. And if you're watching this video live, 50% of this content is you. If you don't join in on the chat and you think this video is boring, that's because you're not participating in it. You're the one making it boring for yourself. So come on in, say hello, and watch what happens. You don't have to be a social person. Just say hello. It's just a normal, courteous thing to do. It doesn't matter if you're shy or an introvert. HELLO, and then watch what happens. It's amazing if you just organically allow it to be. And I promise you're going to want to come back again and again. And not for me, but for the people you're meeting and talking to in the chat room. How do you think it started? None of these people knew each other. They all met here, and they see each other all the time, and they build these friendships. You're missing out if you're not doing that, and it's free. So we hope you'll, if you haven't, hop into our chat room and at the very least say hello to us. Also, let me know where you're watching me from. We're broadcasting live in 4K across the entire planet right now, which is pretty damn cool if you ask me. Let's check the email and see what we got. Our friend Buster with an Amazon gift card, as always. Thank you, Buster. And he says, "This is my thanks for tonight's show." Right on. Buster watches us from Edinburgh, Scotland. Mark Gaines from Northern Ireland sends an Amazon gift card as well. And he said, "I hope you enjoy this Amazon gift card instead of a super chat contribution. YouTube takes 30% of any money you send to a content creator, whether it's a membership or super chat. And then YouTube waits 30 days for that process, the payment to process. And then whatever the next payment period is, could be another 30 days. Then the content creator gets your, like let's say you gave $3, YouTube takes $1 essentially, and then waits, the content creator waits 30 plus days, up to 60 days, for that money to then be released to them. Amazon gift cards, Amazon doesn't take anything. I get it instantly, and I'm going to spend the money at Amazon anyway. How do you think this wound up on the table? We're not working with AOOSTAR. They don't even know we're doing this, and that's why we're free to speak our mind and be honest and candid. As a professional, real working computer technician with over 35 years of experience, still in the industry today, I still work during the week. I'm going to tell you if I would recommend that to my customers or not. And there's nothing AOOSTAR can say or do about it. But if I thought it was going to be bad, I wouldn't have bought it. And if it does turn out to be bad, I'll return it for a full refund, because Amazon offers 30-day money back, 100% money back guarantee, and the return itself is also free. So we've got nothing to lose. If you see anything I'm showcasing here and you're not quite sure, the only way you're going to be sure is to get one in your hands. And you've got 30 days. If you can't make up your mind in 30 days if you like it or not, it sounds like you like it. Okay. This looks really promising, and if it's everything it is advertised to be, a bargain in May of 2026 compared to what other models sell for, price-wise and feature-wise. But I'll let you see if you agree when we get on with the review. And then finally, we have a contribution from Luke Greenia with a $25 super chat. And my thank you to Luke and Tammy. You guys rock, all of you. Thank you so, so much. And of course, a shout out to all of our members in green that support us here. And I'm not, taking a trip to Cancun or anything. I'm just trying to keep the channel alive without selling out to a corporation and having to spout what the corporation tells me I have to say as though I were a ventriloquist dummy. That's what most big tech channels do. They're highly scripted, and the person presenting the information is not allowed to speak their mind. Or they can speak their mind under the condition that they must also include these things the corporation that's writing the check requires them to say. And they can also speak their mind except if it's particularly negative or critical of the company. No company is going to pay a YouTube content creator to disparage them, right? That wouldn't make any sense. So we can avoid all that with the community supporting us and being our sponsors instead of the corporations. I make an exception for the Windows and Office keys because, quite frankly, I'm buying those keys for the same price, the same way. I use my own coupon code. I go to the website just like you, and I pay the same price you're paying. And other business owners say, I am a complete idiot. I should not be giving out that information. But that's what the community means to me. And it's such a commonly used product, Windows and Office. It's not like some people need it and some people don't. If you're watching Windows-related content, at some point you're probably going to need a copy of Windows or Office. And once you do that the first time, good luck to you. So I'm here to try and save you that nightmare so you can get it done right with peace of mind and not have any problems. Because those folks at VIP-URCDKEys offer 6 months of free support. So if you have any problems in the first 6 months, they got you. And if you have any problems after the first 6 months, well, the price of a product key isn't exactly lifetime support, okay? The more you spend, the more you can expect that kind of liaison kowtowing. But when you're trying to get the price as cheap as possible, how do you think that's done? You've got to put some conditions on it. And that's exactly the same with Dell and HP and Lenovo. You can't call Microsoft with an operating system support question on a Dell, HP, or Lenovo. That's how Dell, HP, and Lenovo get such low prices. Microsoft says, we'll sell it to you cheap, but your customers cannot call us. We're not paying for that. They have to call you. Try it sometime. Verify if you don't believe what I'm telling you. Try and call or contact any sort of support from Microsoft for the Office or Windows product that was included in your Dell, HP, or Lenovo. And by the way, there's a lot more. I'm just naming the top 3. Microsoft will tell you, we cannot help you. You need to contact the manufacturer. Why? Because Microsoft sold that product so cheap. There's no money to pay somebody to answer your questions left over. That's what Dell, HP, and Lenovo are exchanging for a cheaper price as they take over the support. So it's not unique. It's happening all around you, and you just may not be aware of it. If you ever bought a Hyundai automobile, and you've ever bought a BMW, and you take them in for service, they are not the same. Hyundai will treat you like cattle and ignore you. That's been my experience. And you'll have to go there more often with more frequent breakdowns. BMW will know your name when you pull up to the dealer lot. They have a much nicer waiting room. They will always talk to you respectfully. They will never ignore you. And let's face it, if BMW loses you as a customer, they're losing potentially a lot of money. If Hyundai loses you as a customer, who cares? So it's kind of like a Walmart versus, I don't know, some fancy place. What was it called? Barney's. There were some fancy places you could go where things were a lot more expensive, but you were also paying for that personal attention. And if you're not paying for the personal attention and you want that low bargain price, don't expect it. You're going to be disappointed. So that's why I like Amazon so much, is Amazon sells expensive things, they sell cheap things, and regardless, it's all the same 30-day return period, no matter what. I really appreciate that. Okay, so let me say hello to everybody in the chat room. I apologize, I failed to do that. How rude of me. Isaiah says hello. There's Sean Skinner and John Lewis in our chat room, along with Mark Gaines and David Herzog. I also see our friend Luke Greenia, Richard DeFries, and Eddie Casanova. Scrolling through the chat here, I see Jim Kenny and Bradley Morris. Our friend Rick Lake says hello, along with Dragon Time Lord, joining us from Rhode Island. Ben Laird says hello from Scotland. And Andy W6AD says hello. Andy loves mini PCs. He can't get enough of them, so he's super excited anytime you're reviewing a mini PC. You gotta love the enthusiasm. It's infectious. Michael Lavelle says hello. Edward Bass says hello. I also see Paul Vercher and Mr. Vizio. Welcome in, guys. Tony Aindow joins us, as well as Jack Kugelmus, who joins us from Toronto, Canada. Brian Weber says hello. There's Buster. He says hello, everyone. Temperature in Edinburgh right now, which is late at night over there, about 8 hours ahead of us. 66 degrees Fahrenheit or 18.8 degrees Celsius. That's our friend Buster. Old Man Timer says hello. And I think I've got everybody acknowledged. If I overlooked you, my apologies. We are live, unscripted, and unrehearsed. But if you catch my eye on the chat and say, hey, you missed me, or you didn't say hello, I'll feel embarrassed and I will immediately correct that. You might have to bring it to my attention sometimes. Things happen quickly in my world. So with that in mind, speaking of quickly, we're 20 minutes into the show and we haven't begun unboxing yet. That's the problem. So let's go ahead and start getting things unboxed. Again, this is my first experience with the product and I don't know much about it other than what little information I got off of YouTube, which really wasn't useful, as well as the information provided by AOOSTAR on their website and Amazon's webpage. In fact, why don't we start there first before we unbox it? Let's just see what's supposed to be in the box and if it matches what the description is. Because a lot of times they don't. Oh, there's Lana Dro saying hello. All right, welcome in, Lana. So let's do this. Let's do, let's go to AOOSTAR. No, you know what? Let's go to Amazon first. Let's get to the nitty gritty, right? Because you want to know the prices and everything. So let me go to my window capture. Is that going to work? No. Just one moment. I have to make an adjustment in OBS. That ought to work. So what we're looking at today is a pretty interesting accommodation considering the cost of RAM and storage. A lot of companies are now making those optional purchases if you want to provide your own RAM and storage. And the problem here that AOOSTAR found themselves in is this particular mini PC has the RAM soldered on the board. It can't optionally offer it to you without RAM. It's not possible. So how do you get the price lower if you can't take the RAM out? Take out the solid state drive. So that's what they did here. This is the, they call it a MACO, M-A-C-O, or MACO. And it's a Ryzen Pro 7 6850H. It's 24 gigs of low power. You were wondering what LP meant. That sort of implies, usually what that's implying when it's low power is it's soldered onto the board. You can't do low power. Well, it's pretty unusual to find low power socketed RAM. It's a challenge. So usually it's a fair bet, probably 98% of the time, if you see that LP in front of DDR4 or 5, that means it's soldered on, it can't be upgraded, can't be changed. It also means it's faster, cheaper, more reliable, and lower profile. And this is the future. Socketable RAM is what we used to need, but we don't really need that today. So some people will absolutely, that'll go in one ear and out the other because they think they know better, because they're refusing to understand how the technology has changed, that it's pretty unusual to need to upgrade a computer these days. And I'll explain why as we get into it. But 24 gigs of RAM is already soldered in at 6400 megahertz DDR5. They've removed, well, I don't know how they learned how to spell without, but they removed the solid state drive to save some money. You can put your own SSD in there. And it's got two 2.5 gig LAN jacks. It'll support up to 4 screens because it's got HDMI output, DisplayPort output, and then 2 USB 4 outputs as well. It has 3 M.2 slots, 3 of them. Not 1, not 2, but 3. And what that means is you can run a RAID array on this if you want to. They're all PCIe 4 Gen 4 according to the documentation here online. And it contains Bluetooth 5.2, but it doesn't tell us what kind of Wi-Fi up there. Maybe it tells us down here. But you can see it supports RAID 0, 1, 2, and 5. I don't know what RAID 2 is. But regardless of that, it is compatible with Gen 3 or Gen 4 NVMe drives for up to 7,000 megabyte per second sequential read and writes. A little bit more about all of the interface IOs. So all the USB ports, video ports, etc., etc. It is Wi-Fi 6, it says right here. There's our measurements. It's about 5 by 5 by about 2.5 inches tall. And very low power, very quiet, they say, attractive, and very affordable. The warranty on this, I don't know what the warranty on this is. Sometimes you pay a little bit more and you get a better warranty. I know that Amazon sells a 3-year protection plan, but what's the default warranty on this? Let's see what we got here. There's the, okay, you see it says AMD Radeon 680M. We'll check, make sure that that's correct, because last time it wasn't. I think we're okay there because it's the 6000 series. But we'll verify that that's the right GPU built into that CPU right there, the 6850. There's more about the 4 displays, the Bluetooth, the Wi-Fi, and it is pre-installed with Windows 11 Pro. Well, how can it be pre-installed with Windows 11 Pro if we don't have a solid-state drive? What I've learned is there may be a product key already embedded in the system for Windows 11 Pro. So when we put our solid-state drive in, if this information is accurate, when we put our solid-state drive in and we have to install Windows ourselves, make sure we install Windows 11 Pro, and I believe a product key and activation will happen automatically and you won't have to buy it. So we need to verify that today. What is RAID 2? There is no RAID 2. It was a typo. So if you noticed up here, just as a reminder, it says it supports, where did it go? Well, first of all, this says it's a 5850. This says it's a 6850. There's so much copying and pasting going on by these manufacturers, they're not even paying attention or proofreading. This says RAID 0, 1, 2, and 5. And this says supports RAIDs 0, 1, 3, and 5. I think we're just looking at a typographical error because I don't know what a RAID 2 is. Whatever it is, we don't use it. This one over here says it supports RAID 0, RAID 1, and RAID 5, and RAID 3 isn't even mentioned. So we're looking at 3 different and completely, what is supposed to be talking about the same thing is describing it inaccurately 2 different ways. Only one of those 3 are correct. So nobody's proofreading. And you know why? Because they're trying to keep the price low and they don't want to pay somebody to go through this, even though it's hurting them and it's probably affecting their sales because they don't want to spend the extra money to quality control check and audit their own marketing pages. They just get it done quick and move on to the next one. They're selling these computers on other sites besides Amazon, and likely they're just copying and pasting the wrong information. And even if you tell them, they probably won't fix it because they have to pay somebody to do that. And they, at these prices, it's sort of like, look, if you need that kind of information, we can provide it if we charge more money. And then if they charge more money, you're not interested, right? That's the dilemma these companies are finding themselves in right now in May of 2026 with the computer industry the way it is. So don't be upset if you want the lower price. Things like this are very common, and this is why it happens. Somebody gets paid to do this. They don't want to pay them twice, and they don't want to pay a second person to then double check what the first person did, or there's going to be a higher price to cover all that. So as long as we're understanding of that and we're okay with it, it's like buying at a garage sale. You know, something may not be listed correctly, and it could be to your advantage, but they're just selling it to get rid of it. Low price, get it out of here, and it could be a deal for you or not. That's for you to decide. There's a little bit more information about the RAM, and let's see, 24 gigs of RAM with a max 24 terabytes of storage. That would be 8 terabytes of storage times 3, since that's about the biggest NVMe SSD you could buy today in the consumer market. It does have an OCuLink port as well. That's very unusual for a machine at this price. We scroll down here, there's a little bit about the display, there's a little bit about the Wi-Fi, and about all the I/O. And we'll scroll down again. The Mako 6850. And here's a bunch of other machines from AOOSTAR. And they're all priced very competitively. Look at here, 270, 320, 320, 339. However, they don't all come with RAM and storage depending on how powerful the machine is. The reason they keep the price down on a higher end computer is by removing the RAM and storage. And that's why it's being done that way, and that's why it's such a good deal. If I look at these reviews on Amazon, we're mostly at 5 stars. Looks like one person gave it a 1 star, one person gave it a 2-star rating. And then, oh, look, we got a picture of the inside. Check that out. There's 1, 2, 3 NVMe slots. There's the Wi-Fi card. Oh, I like that. This person did a great job. And look at this, rated it accurately. Did the 1-star reviews, are they a result of somebody that has no clue what they're talking about? Runs hot at 90 degrees Celsius and blue screen of death. Well, essentially, this is an end user problem in most cases. So what we're dealing with here with somebody who remains anonymous is they probably don't really understand how the technology works, and they're blaming the technology. This person here also says it overheats. This person at least puts their name on it. It says the processor is much slower than the advertisement claims, and it overheats. Just a few minutes after turning it on, it gets extremely hot. I'd rather not use it. Now, here's the thing. I'm not protecting AOOSTAR. I don't have any reason to. We bought this. I'm going to tell you honestly, that person doesn't have a clue how computers work. The reason I say that is you don't get to determine if it runs too hot. You as a human being, you don't get to decide on a whim that's too hot. That's not an emotional decision made by you. That is a technical issue decided by the computer and the engineers. If the machine is crashing, such as that anonymous person that said it was blue screen of death, it's probably not heat related, number one. Number two, higher end machines run hotter. Duh, right? I want performance, but I want it to be quiet. Pick one. Or spend a bit more money for more elegant cooling solutions. At this price point, if it's not good enough, you're an impossible person to please and a nightmare for a customer. You're allowed to be, you're not breaking the law, but I don't want your business, and I'm sure AOOSTAR doesn't want your business either, because you don't understand what you bought. If the computer's running at 90 degrees Celsius under a heavy-duty task, that's normal, and it's well within the operational specification range that the engineers decided to run by about 10 degrees, maybe 15. That's not a problem. On the other hand, the cooling system could have been damaged in shipping, and maybe they're not doing anything wrong. Maybe the shipper, the delivery driver, drop-kicked it to their front door. That's not AOOSTAR's fault. That's not Amazon's fault. That's not the end user's fault. And the intolerance of these customers buying the cheapest possible thing with the most amount of power, still finding a reason to complain, is a problem in our society. And I think, personally, we should have a way to tag these people and prevent them from buying without a waiver, because they probably do this with lots and lots of products. In fact, I'll bet you if I click on the individual's name who left the 1-star review, we'll probably see a lot of 1-star reviews from them because that's in their personality. Let me buy the cheapest thing with the highest expectations and then complain about it is an insane mentality. My question as a professional is this a problem? Are these people out of their minds? Because look at all the 5-star reviews by comparison. Who's right and who's wrong? What's your conclusion? Are both people right? Is it so terrible it runs hot and it crashes all the time? And the person leaving the 5-star review with all the photos and evidence is the one that doesn't understand how it works? Seems pretty clear cut and dry to me, but maybe you see it another way. I hope you don't. But good riddance. Not all customers are good customers. And if I was AOOSTAR, I would ban that person from shopping with me. You see, a business should be reciprocal. A business should be, you're going to give me something I'm happy with, and in exchange, I'm going to give you something you're happy with. We're both happy at the end of the sale. If a customer makes a suggestion or implies publicly, tries to humiliate me, instead of trying to work through what the problem is, including the education or tutoring they require, or giving us as a manufacturer an opportunity to correct it, they're an intolerant, insolent, unnecessary wart on society, and I would ban them from shopping from me. I'm tired of being scammed by buyers. Not all buyers are good people. The buyers are so convinced that every seller's out to get them that there's no way you can make that buyer happy. So just stay away from them, because they will put your business out of business. I would think about it this way. If we knew this about these people before they were allowed to purchase, then those 1-star reviews wouldn't have existed on Amazon from these individuals. Those 1-star reviews are definitely swaying some people to reconsider whether or not they want to purchase, because some nonsensical person that's unreasonable didn't make any attempt to make it correct, and instead immediately cried foul. It's like you reached out to shake their hand and they claimed you tried to hit them. If you would have banned them from buying from you, you wouldn't have that 1-star review. They wouldn't be able to leave it, or you would be able to counter that to whoever the review was posted with, that that's not a customer, and probably have the review removed, and that person banned maybe even from the platform if that's what they do, because they're nasty. So it's really offensive to me, because I've had customers try to do this to me and no customer has ever been successful at it. They'll try once, they don't get a second chance. The minute they fail, they're banned from me, and I tell my friends in the market that I do that work with me, my peers, and I share their information, and I say, if this person reaches out to you, I strongly suggest you don't do business with them, because here's what they did to me. They're going to do it to you too. So the 1-star reviews, when they're posted from people like that, really deserve to get 1-star back from the people they bought from. I would love to be able to have the ability to leave 1-star reviews to my, I would love the ability to leave reviews for my customers. All of my customers are 5-star customers. Anything below that, they're not my customer anymore. Period. It works both ways. I don't know what people are thinking. You're not in power, you're not in control, you don't have the authority. You want to go work for the FTC, go work for the FTC. If you have a legitimate complaint, the first proper thing to do is to work with the company on it. And if the company won't work with you, complain. Now write your review. Or just return it to Amazon and say, give me a different unit, or exchange the unit for a different one, just to see if it's was mishandled in shipping and you just got a bad one that happened. And they wouldn't ship it broken. How does that business model work? Think about it. I'm going to sell people a bunch of broken stuff under warranty that can be returned for 30 days just to piss you off. How do I stay in business? Explain this to me. Last I checked, all of the expenditures in creating the computer, shipping the computer, marketing the computer, all of that, just to make a little teeny tiny bit of money, just to have somebody insult you for it because you're ripping them off? Who's paying the bills? How can your company stay afloat? Think about what these people leaving 1-star reviews are saying. Now, if they're leaving 1-star reviews, a company that doesn't exist anymore, now you know why. That's the difference. AOOSTAR's been in business way too long and has way too many 5-star reviews by comparison, that we know likely the problem is the person, and they're unrealistic, unreasonable, and terrible, terrible people. I would never want to do business with them. I wouldn't want them in my life, because they probably treat their friends the same way. Zero tolerance, highly, highly judgmental, and extremely punitive. That's not a nice person. So they don't have to be nice, and we don't have to do business with them. When I'm purchasing these on Amazon, I'm looking through those reviews, and I'm trying to see if the 1-star reviews are fake or unreasonable. I'm also looking to see if the 5-star reviews are fake or unreasonable. Before I don't blindly just hit the buy button, because I don't want to review it if I think it's going to be bad. The fact that it exists on this bench means I believe this has the very high potential for me to recommend it. Otherwise, I can't be bothered. You know, all the other mini PCs you don't see here? That may be why. So, all I'm doing in this video, live and unscripted, is we want to unbox it, see how it arrives. We're going to power it on, make sure that it works. We can open it up, look at the inside, we can look at the BIOS, we can run some benchmarks, we can listen to how loud it gets, we can see how hot it gets, and then we'll know for sure who's lying or who's delusional and a toddler throwing a tantrum because they didn't get everything their way in exchange for pennies, versus how many of us are grateful, or those who are grateful that such a good deal. But if you want perfection and you have intolerance to anything outside of perfection, you better spend some more money. And I hope they don't drive a Hyundai. I hope they drive a BMW. I hope they put their money where their mouth is. Don't complain that McDonald's isn't as good as a steakhouse. That's preposterous. It's so disconnected from logic and reason, and they live among us, okay? And I don't know who they are, but as soon as they raise their voice and they shout from the rooftops, "I'm a complete moron," there you go. You don't even have to do any work. They will let you know they're idiots. Thank you. Now I know to ignore you, okay? Now, maybe I'm wrong, and maybe this will be a 1-star review. But if I thought that, I wouldn't have bought it. And if it is, I'll just return it. So why would I cry and whine about it? So what? So what? I get every penny back. It doesn't cost me a penny. What would upset me so much to leave a 1-star review for revenge when I got every single penny back for free, like no charge, no conditions, no restocking fees, no payment to send it back? You talk about unreasonable. What more could you possibly want? I think it's a scam to try and get a free computer is what they're doing. But let's unbox. These are all of my theories and my operational methods. I want to give you a behind-the-scenes look into my brain. Not all customers are good customers. Average customers come and go. We transact. We're polite. Thank you for your business. Have a nice day. Good customers, they come back and buy again. They speak highly of you. They leave positive reviews. And bad customers will put you out of business. Not because you're doing anything wrong. Just beside, you just cross paths and they just put you on their target list because they're always victims and nothing you can do. All you'll do is make it worse with people like that. Disengage with them and stop doing business with them if you want to do what's right for you. You cannot fix these people. They need medication and psychology or psychiatrist. And that's not our job. That's their problem, and let their family and their friends deal with them. We're not obligated. And for that little tiny bit of profit that imagine how much money AOOSTAR is making on this. I guarantee they're not making $100 on this. There's no way. Plus they got to pay Amazon commissions, plus the cost of hardware, the box, the shipping, the distribution. Oh my gosh, the warranty and support that are legitimate, that comes out of their pocket too. What's left over? Pennies, dollars. And then you're going to sit there and abuse them for that? What a disgrace. All right, I got that out of my system. You know, being a business owner that's honest and being treated by customers that are scammers or just unreasonably impossible to please comes with doing business. And if you ever want to experience it, if you want to see what I'm talking about, if you're like, is it really that way? Go get a job at Best Buy or somewhere like that in any department, and you will take daily abuse from strangers for no apparent reason, simply because you work there. So stupid. All right, let's get this unboxed, shall we? Please don't be one of those people. All right, shrink wrap is off. See what we got in here. I'll put that here so we know what we're looking at throughout the video. Not that that really tells us anything. I'll put it right like that. And then, let's see. Let's see. You see, we've got some shipping damage. It didn't leave the factory with that big old dent in it, but that's okay. That's what the shipping packaging is for. It's to absorb the hit so the computer and the contents of the box don't get any damage. But there's only so much you can do, right? Depending on how that happened. Let's go close up on this. There we go. Move that over. Okay, documentation. Here's our mini PC that's all wrapped up nice and new. Looks exactly the same as they've shown. You say, Carey, I thought you said this had OCuLink. It does. I don't know why they cover it, but there's a little rubber flap. You put your finger in there. There's your OCuLink port. I don't know why it says HDMI right there. That's weird. That is OCuLink. That should say OCuLink. The HDMI is over here, where it simply says HD for some reason. Because a display port is also in HD. I don't know. That's just a sticker that can peel off if it bothers you, but that's very strange. And then there's 4 screws beside each rubber foot, so you don't have to remove the rubber feet to open this up. Looks really easy to open. 4 screws, and then there's this little piece right here. There's an indent. You can just put a fingernail under that and lift it off. In theory, that's what it looks like. Now, I will say, this looks a little more rectangular than square, just a little bit wider than a normal mini, quote-unquote, mini PC. And then the power button on top usually means that's a fingerprint reader. If the power button's on the front, not so much. But on top, in nearly all cases when working with a laptop or a desktop or even a mini PC, when your power button is on top like this, that usually means it's a fingerprint reader that you can use for passkeys and for logins and Windows Hello and things like that, which is a nice touch. You don't have to use it, but it's nice to have. All right, let's get back into the box and see what else we've got in here. See this little hole? That's for you to put your finger in so you can lift the box out, or the internal box, which apparently, is that one piece? No, my finger went through this hole and then went into that hole, and I ended up lifting out both boxes. Wish they were offset. The rest of the box is empty. All of our accessories then are in this box here, which contains what? This is our power brick. And from the looks of a power brick of this size, it's probably 120 watts. It's 19 volts, just like a laptop. Let me get my more magnifying glasses out so I can read these little tiny print on the back here. Can you read it? Neither can I. It says, it says a lot. Hold on, I'm studying. 19 volts, 6.32 amps. That's 120.08 watts. So yeah, pretty much when they're this size, 120 watts is pretty standard in the industry. Then we've got an additional heatsink if you want to, well, you're going to have to put an NVMe drive in it, right? So they give you the heatsink for that. And if you want to put a second NVMe drive in, they give you a heatsink for that. And if you want to put a third NVMe in, and then they give you a heatsink. And then finally, it looks like we've got our cloverleaf style laptop kind of plug, which I appreciate. When the cheap computers, when these plug directly into the wall, I hate that, because this often it gets too close to other plugs or blocks other outlets, and then the cord's not long enough for me. So by having an additional plug into it, it frees up the outlet, so this only consumes one outlet without blocking any others, and it gives me another 6 feet of cable. I will never complain that I've got too much cable, but having too short of cable is quite often common, hand in hand with prices this low. But I'm glad that they've included this separate power cable to keep the brick away from the outlet. And finally, we've got an HDMI cable, and that's it. That's the entire contents of the box. So overall, you know, there's no VESA mount, which is fine. I don't use them anyway, personally. And these heat sinks, I'll leave them in the box. I'm not going to use them today. So all we really need to do our testing is the machine, the brick. I've already got my own power cord that fits. It's very common. And then we need an NVMe drive, which I have a Feijing S880. This is a 2 terabyte drive. I had a bunch of them in a RAID card I don't use anymore. And last night I said, did I ever take those out? Because I'm running out of them. Thankfully, I forgot about this RAID card, and it was populated with 4 of these. Phew, saves the day. So that's what we're going to use. And you can try just using the drive by itself without the heatsink if you don't want to add it. It won't hurt to add it. I'm not sure I'm going to keep it in here, though, so just depends. This is like a graphene heatsink sticker that's on it. Whether or not that's going to be enough, I don't know yet. But you can also buy NVMe drives that have heat sinks on from the factory. And it looks like there's plenty of room for that in here. There's no fan in there or other obstruction or altitude height issues for the vast majority of heat sinks from manufacturers that make NVMe drives with built-in heat sinks. Looks like they'll all fit in here. From what I can gather, from what I've seen in pictures, it looks fine. All right, so let's clear out the desk and get this thing opened up so we can put our NVMe drive in it. You know what? I'll just deal with this later. And the documentation, I'll just throw that in there because that's usually pretty useless. After we get the NVMe drive installed and put Windows 11 Pro on it, then we'll go to Windows Update, and then we'll check our device manager and see what drivers are missing. No matter what, we're going to put the AMD Adrenalin software on here regardless, from AMD, because that'll be the newest version, even if AOOSTAR offers it. And even if we install it from AOOSTAR, it's likely out of date. It'll do the job, and you won't know any better unless somebody like me tells you, or you're educated on this, that the latest drivers are going to give you the best performance, reliability, and security. And since this machine requires you to have an NVMe drive in it and know how to install Windows and drivers, that would also explain the one-star reviews where somebody who doesn't have a clue what they're doing bought something probably because they watched a YouTube video on it or a TikTok video that didn't get into any details because they wanted to watch a 6-minute video. And this is the danger of those short videos. They're not conveying all of the details. They're not fully transparent. They're not giving the viewer all of the information. And so the viewer doesn't know they don't have all the information. And then they're shocked, offended, and feel as though they're a victim of scamming when the manufacturer has no control over what a content creator might do on TikTok. Blame the content creator. So with that, let's get it opened up. Move that aside and turn this over, and let me get my blade out of the way. And I'll just grab my regular screwdriver, and I'm going to need my heavy-duty reading glasses to see the details here. Oh, let me put my chat room back up too. Our chat room. Safari says, hello, I am watching from Scotland on the West Coast. I love that we have so many people from Scotland joining us. I would have never guessed in a million years that my content would be so popular of all places in Scotland. And I feel very blessed and honored to connect with so many Scots, but also Ireland and England, Australia, even Brazil, Canada, of course, New Zealand. Once in a while, we'll see people from Japan or the Caribbean islands. It's pretty damn cool. Let me tell you, pretty damn cool. So thank you for joining me, and I hope you'll stick around and will join us again and again and again, because we love having you here. There's Scott Messerschmidt and Slavko joining us, saying hello. And Josh Kinder says hello. Kiskowski joins us. He says there's a saying in Serbia. Oh, we'll see, we've got viewers in Serbia too. Basically, the saying in Serbia is the more you pay, the more the band will play. That's a good expression. Yeah, if you've ever been to like a wedding or a bar mitzvah or some kind of where you have a live band and the party's and you know going really good and you want them to keep playing, just give them some more money. They're already set up. They already brought all the equipment and hooked it all up. It's pretty easy to convince them to stay longer, so your party can continue longer than you thought it was going to. That's very true. I never thought of it like that. I've never made that connection, but clearly in Serbia, it's very common that it's a saying, and that's a good saying because it's true. Gawoon says hello. That's Peter, our friend Peter in the Netherlands, viewers in the Netherlands. I told you, we're all over the world. It's so damn cool. Alan with a Y says hello, and I also see our friend Mark Leibowitz joining us from Chicago. Mark works in the industry just like I do, so it's fun to share battlefield stories, experience, challenges. Anthony says hello. Demelin says hello. Jack Hogelman says in Toronto, following a day of wind and rain, it is 13 degrees Celsius and cloudy there. And expensive. Maybe it is Toronto. All right, let me get this out of the way. And let's get close up on this one. And let's open it up. It should match the photos we saw on Amazon. Look, I don't want to be, getting back to those reviews, I don't want to be lied to. If you take the time to leave a review, please be honest. I don't care if it's 5 stars or 1 star or any star in between. Just be honest. Is that such a hard task? Apparently for some people. Now, what I'm looking at when I'm opening this up is how I'm going to put it back on, because I'm so anxious to get it open, I don't think about it until I go to put it back together. Then I go, wait a minute, how did this go on this way or this way? So just looking at this, the little notch that's cut out right here faces the back. So if I just remember that, but I can remember where the stickers are left and right, except if I flip it 180 degrees, I'll still be equally confused and wrong. So if I can get this open, I think you should just be able to pry that up. But it looks like a fingernail isn't going to cut it. It looks like we need some kind of a spudger tool, guitar pick, a credit card. Stay away from metal tools if possible, unless you don't care about gouging it up. And I can't even get the spudger in there. I'd say that's a very good fit. If it's that tight of a seam, they've got that precisionally, mated together with precision. In that case, I will have to use something more firm, but you want to be careful with a metal tool. Now, this is a very thin metal tool. Sometimes on some devices, the metal bends before the thing you're trying to open. So we're going to try this first, and if this doesn't work, we'll move to more of a traditional flat blade screwdriver. Because the last thing I want to do is use a flat blade screwdriver, because you've got to be very careful to gouge it. Now, most people would say, who the hell cares, right? Who cares if you gouge it? No one's going to see it. That's the back and it's on the bottom. You couldn't ask for a more hidden place. But let me tell you, as a professional technician, if you did that to somebody else's computer,
no matter that it can't be seen or it would be very difficult to know, the customers will expect you to pay for the damage, replace the part, or leave you a negative review because you didn't handle their equipment with respect. So we don't handle equipment differently for customers. We always handle the equipment exactly the same, regardless if we're helping a friend for free, doing our own work, and of course, most importantly, working for a customer. So take your time. The more often you get experience with this, the easier it will become. Also, it's brand new and tight. Not that you should be opening this that often, but the more you open it, the easier it'll get for you, because you'll understand the feel for it that cannot be explained. You just have to experience it. And having the right tools and patience is all that's required. And you know, a lot of people use a butter knife. They'll improvise, and it causes damage. But if they don't care and it's their own equipment, they can disrespect it all they want to. See how big this driver is and how big the tip is? This is likely going to cause a gouge, but look at the result. By putting it in the slot and then turning it very gently, watch this corner pop up. Once that corner pops up right there, you see it? That's it. Don't use it any more than that. Now let's go back to the first tool we used, which is essentially like a guitar pick. Now we can easily get in there and just run it along the edges. And now we didn't damage anything, we didn't hurt ourselves, and we didn't struggle. If you're struggling with something, you're being impatient. Okay? Just to be clear, I'm going to repeat myself. If you are struggling with something, you are being impatient. Slow down, take a breath, walk away for a while, or ask somebody else to do it for you. Or damage your equipment and then be upset and blame the manufacturer for your poor choices. That's not a manufacturer's fault. That's all on the end user. Let me bring this up and show you close up what we've got in here. It looks pretty much like it was pictured. There is our Wi-Fi card. There's NVMe slot there, an NVMe slot there. Supposed to be one more in here. Oh, it's way down here, the other direction. So 1, 2, 3. Wi-Fi card is upgradable, replaceable, and the RAM is soldered down, and then your BIOS battery, CMOS battery, right there. That's it. That's all there is to it. Close-up of the front, close-up of the sides. HDMI still cracks me up. And I don't know, there's a warning sticker there. Generally, this is not a USB plug. You cannot just plug an OCuLink cable in unless the machine is off, or you potentially damage your graphics card and your dock. And so these warnings say make sure this is off before you plug or unplug anything in there. This is not a hot swappable plug. This is not USB. And if you do that, you're probably going to leave a 1-star review, right? Because you don't know any better. Not you, but you know who you are. You know who I'm talking to. Okay. And then there again is the complete inside of the unit. And that's pretty much it. Oh, in the back. Here's the back of it. So the CPU is up on top. And then that's where all your hot air is going to come from right there. Will it overheat, like people say? I mean, given the number of 5-star reviews, I doubt it. And I wouldn't say 90 degrees is overheating at all. I don't think these people have a clue what overheating actually is. Now, I guess it doesn't matter which one of these slots we use. They should all be the same. As far as I know, they're all PCIe Gen 4x4. Which also means, you know, if you don't have Gen 4x4, but you've got some Gen 3s laying around, they're backwards compatible. They'll just run at half the speed. So let me grab my driver again, and let's open this. Whoops. Let's open this up. Not open this up. Let's take out the retention screw that's in the standoff on all of the NVMe slots. It doesn't come in a bag in the box, thank goodness. They're just in position. When you need them, you won't lose them. Let's go ahead and put the drive in, like so. Just kind of line up the notch. and then it's brand new and it's tight, so it does require a little wiggling and pushing, and you'll end up with it looking like this. And then we'll just put the screw back down, and that secures it into place. That's it. What I like about the bottom of this here is that I can put this back on because you want this to have some airflow. But I don't have to put the screws back in case there's any problems. I can, do all my testing that I want to do. And if I have to make any modifications, I can easily remove the back again. And if, on the other hand, everything goes through perfectly, then one of the final things I'll do is put those screws back in. That's it. That's all it was. So let me leave a negative star, 1-star review about how terrible that was and how complex. Because apparently that's the hip and cool. That's what all the cool kids are doing. I'm going to complain about what a moron I am, so everybody knows. All right, power, HDMI. Let me grab an HDMI cable. Where is my HDMI? Right here. Let's plug in the HDMI. And then we need a keyboard and a mouse, which I've got right over here. Turn them on. Take my wireless dongle and plug it into the back here. We're not going to plug into the network. We're not going to, if asked to connect to the Wi-Fi, we're not going to do that. We need to install Windows first and make sure Windows installs, the machine boots up, etc. So I will need Windows 11, which I've already created, and we've got videos that show you how to do that for free legally from Microsoft. This is not activated. You have to buy a key to activate Windows, but to download and create a Windows media installation tool is completely free. And you would go to Microsoft.com to do that, and they encourage you. They want you to do it. That's all free. And then, power cable. I knew I was looking down here for something. I'll grab my laptop-style power cable. We'll plug it into the adapter. And then we're going to turn this bad boy on. The blue light comes on. I can barely hear it, but it definitely came on. Let's go over to the streaming computer and see what our boot up looks like. Give that a second to initialize. And it says Elgato, that's our video capture card. And in just a minute, hopefully it'll say AOOSTAR, or I don't know, let's just see what it does. I mean, according to those 1-star reviews, I guess it's going to explode. People are ridiculous. All right, there it is, AOOSTAR, there's our boot logo. The little toilet bowl spinning tells us that Windows 11 is loading, but since Windows 11 is not on the NVMe, the only place it can load from is the flash drive, which we can verify by looking at the setup that appears. And we're going to go through this the same way I've demonstrated it hundreds and hundreds of times. There's my mouse, that's working. Next and next. Agree and next. Okay, it wants a product key. Why does it ask for a product key? Because it doesn't know what version of Windows 11 your product key is for. Well, if you know what you're doing and you know what product key you're going to be buying, or you already have, if it's for Windows 11 Home or Windows 11 Pro, this is for the end user consumer who doesn't understand computers. That's not us, or if it is you, you're in the right place, so you can rise above the very bottom of the barrel of users and simply say, I don't have a product key. It says, well, without a product key, I don't know what version of Windows to put on here. What am I going to do? And you say, relax. It doesn't take a genius to know what you purchased or what you're going to purchase. I'm going to purchase a Windows 11 Pro key if I need to, but since the website said it came with Windows 11 Pro, if it doesn't auto-activate, I'll reach out to their customer support and say, hey, the advertisement on Amazon says this comes with Windows 11 Pro. They'll probably send you the key for free. Or it might just auto-activate and reassign a product key that was paid for by AOOSTAR. There's only one way to know. And either, no matter what the consequence or end result is, the steps to get us there remain the same regardless.
So after selecting Windows 11 Pro, I'm going to hit Next. Remember, we are not plugged into the internet. I cannot emphasize how important this is. We're going to accept the license agreement, and then we're going to pick a destination. There's only one destination this is going to work on, and that's disk 0. Brand new, never been, well, it was used in a RAID array, but it's basically reset brand new out of the box. So disk 0 unallocated space. If you're using a used drive, I strongly recommend you completely erase everything on it by selecting each disk 0 partition, and then the delete partition each time will light up and delete it until you're just down to one single disk 0 that says unallocated space. Then you're good to go. Disk 1 is the flash drive we booted from that contains our Windows Media Installer. So we're ignoring that. Hit Next. It'll give us a summary and we approve it and hit Install. And now it's going to create the partitions, format those partitions, and copy over the Windows Installer files from the flash drive onto that internal storage. Once it does that, it will reboot. Once it reboots, we no longer need the flash drive. It won't be used anymore. Therefore, if you plug it in and ignore it, it's not hurting anything. I only tell you this because if you want to unplug your flash drive after the first reboot, it does not impact your install. What it needs from the flash drive, it's getting right now. And it's going to move everything it needs onto that internal storage drive once the partitioning and formatting is done. When it reboots, it'll boot off of the internal storage drive, and then the installation will actually start. And therefore, the flash drive is no longer used. So you can leave it in if you want to, or you can unplug it if you want to. Now, we're doing this in real time. We are live and unscripted. Anything can happen. If this thing blows up, catches fire, starts smoking, crashes with a blue screen, we're going to see it live, and there's nothing I can do to stop it. However, have you ever seen that happen in any of my live videos from any manufacturer of any mini computer or any tech gadget we've ever reviewed? It's never happened. So the exaggeration of those one-star reviews is so ridiculous that it defies reality. And that's why we always look for photo or video evidence of what people are claiming. When somebody says, I did what you said to do and it didn't work, show me. And if they won't show me, that's all I need to know. I don't care why they can't show me. You got a phone, you can take a picture of it, you can email me, you can take a small video. If you're not willing to do that, I'm not willing to help you because I think you're lying. So if I expect that from people, then I expect it when I'm talking to people to walk the walk and not just talk the talk. I film this live, unscripted and unedited so that you can see with full transparency what's really transpiring and how long it takes, so you have a better expectation of, if you were to follow the steps, what's involved and what you're going to click, what order of events you're doing things in, and how long it should take. Good luck finding that anywhere else on the internet. It's pretty darn rare. And I like to refer to it as reality. And I guess people go to the internet to run away from reality, but then they come away from the internet as though they've been educated. It's so stupid. Some person creates content never showing their face, never showing their real name. It's just a pair of hands. And you trust them? Boy, oh boy. At that point, that's not a content creator problem, that's a viewer problem. If you won't tell me your name for real, and you won't show me your face, then I don't believe anything you say. I don't care what you think, your opinion matters not. If you're not willing to stand behind it, can you imagine if I ran my business that way? If I told potential clients, you're never going to meet me, you're never going to know my name, and you're never going to see my face. But you should believe in me and you should trust in me. You think I'd still have a business? Welcome to the internet, where businesses that are flourishing would never flourish with that sort of mentality in reality. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but I'm not doing business with anybody like that. And furthermore, I'm not listening to their advice. Because if they're wrong and they cause damage, who did it? Who are they? Good luck. That's on you for believing them. You're the fool. So there's a reason why people hide their faces and their names online.
And from my opinion, it is never a legitimate reason. Not when it comes to education. When it comes to whistleblowing or something like that, that's a different story. I'm going to be your teacher today, but you're never going to know my real name and you're never going to see my face. Well, you're never going to be my teacher because I can't believe or trust in anything you say because your behavior is suspicious and I need to know what you're afraid of. And I imagine you're afraid of consequences. Well, if you're afraid of consequences and you're teaching, you have no business teaching. That's my opinion and I stand to it. So I say what I say and I do what I say. What's the expression? I say what I mean and I mean what I say. And you have my name and you can look up my history. You can see what I've done in the past 35 years. It's all recorded online. In fact, if you're clever enough, you can go back to the early 1990s and you can find me discussing, arguing with people in news groups before the World Wide Web. That's how far back I go. And I can't remove that information if I wanted to. So honestly, some of it I'm a bit embarrassed by, but you know, I was 23 years old, 24 years old. And I've matured a lot since then, I like to think. But the internet wasn't as crowded or well known, and only quote unquote nerds used it according to normal, ordinary folks. You talk about news groups and they just think, geez, what a loser nerd you are. But now, to my advantage, all of that information is archived, and you can verify what I'm telling you about my history and my past if you choose to. If you don't know my name and you can't see my face, you just take my word for it. Why? But that's what free will get you on YouTube anyway, right? I guess if I wanted to hire somebody for free and the condition was I didn't get to see their face or know their name, and I'm going to let them work on the electrical system of my house, I'm not going to have much recourse if they burn my house down because I invited them in. That's on me. All right, United States is our region, or our country, yeah. And then US is our language for the keyboard with no secondary language on the keyboard. I don't have internet, but it appears the Wi-Fi driver loaded all by itself. And then for username, we'll put user and then a blank password. And then finally, we'll change our privacy settings to leave location data on, and that will auto correct our date and time every single day. So if it's daylight saving time, or if the clock inside of the computer loses or gains minutes, as all clocks do, it'll self-correct without us even being involved. It just happens auto-magically. It can't do that without knowing where you are. So all these privacy people will just chop off their foot so they don't have to buy shoes. It's preposterous mentality in the internet today. But here we are getting ready for the desktop to appear. And then once that does appear, I will plug it into the internet. And while I'm waiting, I'm going to go ahead and unplug the flash drive because we don't need it. We haven't needed it since the first boot, and I'm bored. So I'm going to just go ahead and take that out now to keep myself busy. And then I'm also going to go find my Ethernet cable while we're waiting. It's always something to do besides stare at the screen and twiddle your thumbs when you're doing this kind of work. And then it's a good time for me to take a drink of Gatorade here. No, they are not a sponsor. I pay them to buy their product. They pay me nothing, and they don't even know I exist. Just like when you buy it. It's no different. I'm one of you. I'm the same. I'm not some elite technician that gets my butt kissed by corporations. Wouldn't mind it. But no, everything I do is exactly the same as you. I don't get any benefits or discounts or favors. All right. Now you notice everything on the start menu is shaded out. Most of these boxes are shaded out because some of these things are not allowed in certain countries. And how it determines where you're located is based on your IP address, which it doesn't get until you connect to the internet. So you see down in the right corner, you see this globe? When I plug the Ethernet cable in, if drivers have loaded for either of these two RJ45 connectors in the back, then that little globe, once I plug the cable in, which I just did, will become a little monitor and you'll see a little flashing cable. So we'll give that a second. It usually gives us something by now. So I believe that we don't have network card drivers on the LAN, but we do have wireless card drivers just from a clean install of Windows. Probably both of these network jacks in the back are the same manufacturer. So just to check, I'm going to plug into the other one. So unplug it from one jack, plug it into the other, and then wait a second and see if that globe in the bottom right corner changes. I don't expect it to. And it doesn't appear to be. So there's no way for me to get to Windows Update unless I connect to my Wi-Fi, which I do not want to do on a live video. In fact, I'm also curious what else we're missing. So I'll right-click on the Start menu and go to the Device Manager. And here we can see how many devices are missing drivers. Not too many. There's one Ethernet controller and the other one. Well, that explains the behavior we just witnessed. We have whatever this is. And this is chipset driver related here for the AMD chipset, which we'll get through the AMD Adrenalin software. But first we need internet access. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 device drivers that are missing. Now, how do you get network card drivers if you can't get on the network to get the network card drivers? Well, those of you who've been watching me for a while, you know what I'm going to do, don't you? I go on Amazon and I buy one of these guys here. This one I just happened to grab. It happens to be USB Type-C. This is a USB network card adapter. And they make them in 1 gig, 2.5 gig, 5 gig, and 10 gig, priced accordingly. They make them with USB Type-A, which is the most common, and USB Type-C. I just blindly grabbed the first one. I've got about 6 different ones. No two are the same. I have a USB Type-A in 1 gig, a USB Type-C in 1 gig. I have a USB Type-A in 2.5 gig. I have a USB Type-C in 2.5 gig. I have a 5 gig and I have a 10 gig. So that's 6 of these I have. Now the 5 gig and the 10 gig do require special drivers, but the 2.5s and the 1s, they load off basic drivers already in Windows. So once I plug this into, whether it's Type-C or Type-A, the driver loads automatically. Then I grab my Ethernet cable and I plug it in here. And now when we go back to this desktop, we should see that little globe symbol change. See it flashing in the bottom right corner? And you may see an additional network card because we just added a network card through the USB port. It's that easy. So with that done, now let's go to Windows Update. You see all those ghosted items went away? Isn't that interesting? Let's go to Settings, and let's go to Windows Update. Now my installer, I just recently created it with the Windows Media Creation tool, and it has all the latest updates already streamed into it. So we have all of the updates from this month already in there, so we don't have to download those. What you're going to see available for download are going to be drivers that Windows Update recognizes. You're going to see antivirus updates because the antivirus updates come out multiple times every single day. You'll have the malicious software removal tool. These are all relatively small updates. And then any updates that have come out since the second Tuesday of the month, like this update for Windows Security Platform. This may be an update to a previous update. All this is antivirus. This is an audio driver. This is a network driver, I think. ASICs, I can't remember what that is. AMD, there's some drivers from AMD. Intel network, I wonder if the Wi-Fi in this is Intel because the Bluetooth is also Intel. And usually whatever the Bluetooth is, well, not usually. I would say almost always. The only time the Bluetooth will be separate is if you bought a specific Bluetooth adapter. But if you already have Wi-Fi, it probably is built into the Wi-Fi. But if I have a desktop, let's say I built a computer myself, and it has no Wi-Fi built onto the motherboard, but I want to use Bluetooth headphones, I can go on Amazon and buy a little USB Bluetooth adapter. But if I have Wi-Fi, it more than likely already has Bluetooth on the exact same adapter made by the same company. Then we've got the biometric device. I see a video driver going in, which is why the screen just blanked out. Give that a second, our desktop will come back once the driver is installed and activated. And then more AMD. This is all drivers. These are really small apps. and it's already, oh, not quite done yet. Just this one last thing. That's how fast it is, because we already have all of those previous updates on our media installer slipstreamed into our Windows install, so we don't have to sit through every single time we install and wait for the same updates over and over again. And every month that passes that we don't update our installer just adds on to the list of updates we have to download manually and wait to install. So this is very minimal, and it's free to create that. So I don't know why you would choose to suffer, but it is your choice. You can use an old installer if you want to. It's your time. With all that being done, we can restart now, and then after it restarts, go back in the device manager and see if it potentially took care of everything. I don't expect it would, but we have to take one bite at a time. I don't think about the last bite of a sandwich before I've taken my first bite, or second, or third, or fourth, or fifth. When I get to it, that's when I deal with it. Who needs that anxiety in their life? Why would you choose to think like that? That's bizarre. But to each their own. You may choose differently than me. Now, once this reboots, which you'll see here in a moment, you'll get an idea. I suppose you'll get somewhat of an idea of the boot up time on this, but it's still installing updates, so I'm not sure how fair that is, but it should still be quick. Ooh, I can feel the air coming out of it. That fan is running good. All right. I can hear the fan, but it's very subtle. We're now in 4K resolution, which is hard for me to see. So I'm going to right click on the desktop and change the display settings to 1920 by 1080 so it's easier on my eyes. 1920 by 1080. Oh, yes. Very nice. Let's go back to Windows Update also. And let's retry these updates, which likely failed because they were installing in duplicates, and only one will succeed. You'll know if they get offered again, which again, this did get offered again, and it worked that time. I'm going to turn this feature on. I'm going to go to Advanced, and I'm going to turn on this feature, and this feature. Those are my preferences. This is what I set up for my customers. Under Optional Updates, there's more drivers. Click on that and select all of them. You want to take the time to read and study and knock yourself out. This looks like a duplicate and it'll likely fail. My recommendation is select them all and hit download all. It doesn't need your permission to verify what it's doing is accurate. It is accurate. And if you try and correct it, you're going to be wrong 99% of the time and interfere in getting your own way. So if Microsoft Windows wants it, I strongly recommend you allow it. And if you're the kind of person that wants to police everything, I would recommend Linux. You would be much happier with that. Okay, that's interesting, the wallpaper changed. So now let's look in the device manager and see what's changed, if anything. Wow, it did it all. That means it doesn't even matter if AOOSTAR offers drivers for this model because you don't need them on Windows 11. Did it activate? Let's find out. Let's come down here and type in activation settings, enter. No, it says no product key was found. Okay, but it said it came with Windows 11, didn't it? Clearly, if there's no product key, you have two options. Provide your own product key, like I mentioned, VIP-URCDKEYs, or contact AOOSTAR's customer service and say, hey, your page says this comes with a product key. In most cases, they'll gladly send you one, but they can't read your mind. You have to ask for it. Now, if you ask for it and they tell you no, that's a different story. So a couple things I want to check here would be the power settings. I don't want the machine to go to sleep on us, so let's edit the power plan. See what it's defaulting to here. 5 minutes is way too short. Change that to a couple hours here. And never put the computer to sleep unless it has batteries or you're just fooling yourself. Let's hit save changes. Let's go to change the power buttons. Make sure the power button sets to turn off. Perfect. There is no sleep button, but no matter what we choose here, it's ignored. I still tell it to do nothing. Just in case there's a ghost button that suddenly appears overnight. Sure, why not? Let me come over here to camera 1 for a second because I want to show you something. Camera 1. Now I'm going to take this cable out. Because once those network card drivers were in, we don't need this anymore. Ever again. Never ever. Unless we have to reinstall it. I'm a technician. I do this practically every day. So I rely on stuff like this far more than an ordinary end user. But if you're working on computers a lot or helping friends and family, they're like $15. And look at all the trouble it saved me from going to another computer, downloading the drivers for the network card from the manufacturer, putting it on a flash drive, bringing it over here, copy. You don't have to do it the way I'm doing it. I'm showing you an industry shortcut that I've learned through experience. No one taught it to me. I figured it out on my own, and I'm saving you the effort of having to reinvent the wheel. But if you think you've got a better wheel or you can't be bothered, I'm fine with it. Knock yourself out. Let's plug this in and see if it works now. When I plug that in this time, let's come back over to the desktop and see if that little globe in the corner, yeah, there it goes, becomes a flashing icon. And our drivers are loaded. So I'll tell you, we definitely don't have the latest AMD chipset and graphics drivers from Windows Update. Well, we did get them, as evidenced here. Everything's happy, and if you didn't know any better, you would be the fool, you know, that thinks you did everything right, because the evidence is everything works and there's no errors in the device manager. But somebody with knowledge would be able to educate you that you're running old drivers and your system could be faster, more stable, and more secure, for free, by the way, if you just had a little bit more knowledge. And that's what I'm here to share with you today. If you're tired of these pop-ups like this, always hit the 3 dots. That's the new trend, the 3 dots next to the X. We can turn off the notifications for OneDrive. And if anything else pops up like that, that's how easy it is. A little bit of knowledge. Most end users can't be bothered to have a little bit of knowledge, and so they will forever keep clicking the X every time it pops up into infinity. And eventually, once they tire themselves out, they may actually listen and want to learn. Everybody goes at their own speed. When you're ready, you'll be ready. I can't make you ready if you don't want to be. So with that out of the way, let's go to Microsoft Edge. And we're going to go to the AMD website here and download their Adrenalin drivers. Those are going to be newer drivers, optimized, higher performance, higher security, and they're free, but you have to know to do this. If you don't know to do this, you should not be buying a computer like this. Stick with Dell, stick with HP, stick with Lenovo. If your personality is such, they take care of all that for you. It's built into their price, and they won't be this cheap. But if you're interested and you want to do it, you can. But if you're not interested, there's nothing I can teach you. All right, so let's go to AMD Adrenalin will be our search. It's Adrenalin without an E on the end. And the very first link is exactly what we want. Download the software, and you have to accept the cookies before the download starts. Once the download starts, you'll see up here in the top, it brings us to the next page, download Windows drivers, and then you'll see the top right corner. It's a pretty small download. It's already here. Click on it once, say yes to user account control, and you can close these windows out just to avoid the clutter and confusion. That's it. Now we're going to get the latest graphics and chipset driver from AMD, much more updated than what comes from Windows Update or what may be on the AOOSTAR website. And it verifies, yeah, you need a new graphics driver. The one you got is old, and the chipset driver you got is old, even though we just got them from Microsoft. Microsoft takes months to validate drivers before releasing them to the public, or else they'll take the blame. In the months it takes to validate, new drivers have come out. That's why. Uncheck that box if you want to. It's optional. And we're off to the races with regards to the graphics and chipset drivers, which should give us the best performance, reliability, and security, all for free, simply because you know. That's it. And if you don't know, ignorance is bliss. You could be having a computer running slower or crashing, maybe even overheating because you didn't have the knowledge to know to follow these very basic computer maintenance and Windows setup tips. This is how you learn if you want to learn. If you don't want to learn, go buy a pre-built computer like Dell, HP, and Lenovo and they'll take care of things for you for the added price that they charge, whether you like it or not. Okay, so this isn't for everybody. You have to be interested in this, which I'm sure the vast majority of my community is, but if you're a viewer here new, this may be a little over your head, or you may not find this appealing or interesting and couldn't be bothered. Then don't buy these kind of computers, or because then what are you going to do? Leave a 1-star review because you didn't understand what you bought? That's BS, man. So it offends me. It's like blaming people that you're ignorant and it's somebody else's fault. It's preposterous. But hey, it's the world we live in, and it's not illegal. Freedom of speech is freedom to lie, and it's freedom to be delusional. There's nothing illegal about being delusional. There's nothing illegal about lying unless you're under oath. So welcome to the freedom of speech. You're going to take the good with the bad with it. This is where judgment comes into play. And you have to be responsible for your own judgment, who you trust and who you believe. And until you exercise these and practice these things that you're hearing about online, do not assume what you're being told is true until you personally validate it yourself. All right? Best advice I could ever give you. Now, whether or not you choose to follow it, we're right back to square one again. See step one. Okay. We're just about done. This will probably require a reboot when it's done. And then we can start any testing. I'm very interested about the quote-unquote heat problems that these lunatics, these people, it's preposterous that a company that's been in business this long doesn't know the basics of keeping their own computers cool. So maybe they got a damage unit, or maybe they just don't understand what they bought. But we're going to validate that right now. Live and unscripted, I have no control over this. You saw me remove the shrink wrap. There's been no preparation. There's nothing in it for me, by the way. If this thing overheats and those 1-star lunatics are actually geniuses, I'll tell you. You'll see it with me together. What do you think the odds of that are? Place your bets. Because whether this overheats or it doesn't makes no difference to me, other than whether or not I recommend it. And if I honestly thought that those lunatics had any clue what they were talking about, I would not have bought it. But I'm in doubt until I test it myself. Then I know for a fact, no matter what anybody says, if I fall down and break my arm, you cannot say I did not break my arm. I know damn well I broke my arm. I felt it. Go gaslight somewhere else. Okay, here we've got an audio thing here, and we have multiple audio outputs, so that's fine. This is one I would not recommend that you hide. I think this is an important, because you get a support call. How come I can't hear anything from my speakers? Because you selected the wrong audio output device. That's why. So we're going to go ahead and leave it set to the capture card, and then I'm going to hit close. And again, most of you who are regulars in this community, you've heard me explain this hundreds of times. This information is not for you. This information is for people new here. We don't assume that we don't get any new viewers. Approximately 50% of our total number of views come from new viewers, and the other 50% from our community. People are seeing me for the very first time, even though I've been making these videos since 2008. We're going to skip this, and then finally the AMD Adrenalin software launches, and it gives us our technical information up here. There's some notifications. I like to just clear these out because they bother me. And with that, let's restart the computer. And once again, if you want to see the device manager, right here, perfect, no problems. If we look at the system properties, check this out. Right-click and go to System. Let's verify we have the amount of RAM AOOSTAR says this has. 24 gigs? 24 gigs. Ryzen 7 Pro 6850? Yep. Radeon, what'd they say it was, a 680? Let's right-click on the device manager. I'm not sure if it'll tell us. This just says Radeon. That's not too useful. Let me close this out. Go to display adapter. AMD Radeon. I don't know why it doesn't tell us the model. You know where we can find it? will be in the Adrenaline software. So there's a couple other ways you can verify. But I think if we just bring up the AMD Radeon software, or rather the AMD Adrenaline software, it'll tell us what our graphics card is somewhere in here. I'm not too familiar with this. Just click on driver and software just to see image updates maybe. Yes. No, that's not what I want. Oh, I know you're in here somewhere. I'll just start randomly clicking on things. Graphics. Oh, I think that's what I wanted. Radeon. Does it tell us? AMD could do a better job at this, to be honest. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I think it's in here somewhere, but rather than waste my time looking for a needle in a haystack, because AMD has made that so difficult, I'm going to plug in my utilities flash drive, because I need the utilities to run the benchmarks anyway. So let's just copy over CPU-Z, and that'll tell us. So there's my flash drive plugged in, and we'll open the folder, and we'll start copying out our utilities. These are all free for you to download. I cannot distribute them because they're not mine to give away. But you can go and type these into Google and put these exact same programs on that I'm using. They're all portable. Well, VLC is not. VLC is installer. But it leaves no trace that way. We're not putting anything in the registry, or we're not leaving anything disrespectfully on a customer's computer. But this CPU-Z is completely free. I always download the zip file, and then I'll run the 64-bit version, and this will give us all those specifications about the system that we were looking for, particularly the graphics card. It should identify what we've got in here. Still doesn't tell us, does it? Isn't that interesting? It just says it's Radeon without being specific to which model. What kind of car do you drive? A Ford. Okay, what kind of Ford? A red one. Oh, I guess they only make one model. I don't know why that doesn't display the model number. A little bit of information on these tabs: main board, the memory config, the serial presence device. The memory is made by SK Hynix. Normally this would tell us, in my experience. A little surprised, couldn't tell. There's other ways. Let's do the PC testing software and Crystal Disk. Well, I don't need Crystal Disk info. I know what I put in there. Let's do Crystal Disk Mark to measure the performance. Let's get to the nitty-gritty. Hardware info and Cinebench R23 are what the torture tests are to measure the heat on a overly resource-heavy and complex task that does not represent reality. Because if it does really well on this, then it should do really well with whatever the user does. Because the users are very rarely extreme. They think they are, but they're not. It's cute. It's like listening to a kitten meow or a little baby lion roar. It's cute. Let's double click on hardware info. Let's get that started with sensors only, and let's look at what our temps are right now. Just the way it is, without doing anything. Is it overheating? It hasn't blue screened, so that's your first clue it's not overheating. And I'm going to keep making fun of these people, by the way, because they put themselves out there voluntarily to be made fun of. I can't imagine why else they did it. And we'll go to core temperatures. Let's see where we're at on these temps. They're very normal temperatures here, obviously. Duh. What a shock. Okay. What else did they warn us about? This is why you have to have your own experience sometimes. If it truly matters, meaning if I'm spending my own hard-earned money on this, it matters. If I'm just watching videos for things I'm not investing in, I'm not considering purchasing, then it's entertainment. Then the facts don't matter. Let's bring up Cinebench. By the way, if the facts don't matter, then my channel doesn't matter. And once this starts, we're going to start the test. So we'll accept their license agreement. And we're going to start this test and bring the temperature monitoring up on top of it so we can keep an eye on it. Let's see how it does. This is going to warm up the CPU very, very hot for the next 10 minutes, and then it will run the benchmark and give us a score. Then we'll run the single core test below, and it'll be another 10 minutes, and then we'll see overall, do we have a heat problem, or do we have an end user education issue? Place your bets, which one you think it's going to be. I want to remind you what this computer sells for and how much power you're getting, how easy it was to open. You've got a biometric fingerprint reader built in for passkeys. You've got OCuLink. You've got dual 2.5 gig LAN. You've got Wi-Fi 6. You've got Bluetooth 5.2. I'm not selling this. I don't care. But that seems like one hell of a good deal. And it's an attractive looking computer on top of that, which doesn't hurt. Let me put the camera back on screen while we're waiting, and I'll just put it in a corner here. Let's go down here. And let me take a look in the chat. If you have any questions for me, or particularly anything about the AOOSTAR, this would be a great time to ask. In fact, while we're waiting, since I'm done with the flash drive, I can go ahead and take that out and put it away now. Just gives me something to do while I'm waiting. Let's see what's. Oh, yes. Patrick Manny mentions the company that makes CPU-Z makes a program also called GPU-Z. Thank you. I never use it, so I forgot about it. Yes, exactly. That's how we can verify our Radeon model number. That's one of many ways. But I'm looking for the easiest, quickest way. And GPU-Z is just like CPU-Z. It's a little tiny app. Thank you for that reminder. I can't tell you the last time I ever used GPU-Z. It's been years, so I forgot about it. I've read Buster saying good night. It's pretty late there in Scotland. So have a good night, my friend. We'll look forward to seeing you again soon. Smith Bry says, Carey, I love your videos. Just curious, if you had selected Windows 11 Home, but your product key was for Pro, does it show an error message or it just does not work? It won't work. It'll say the product key is not valid. Right? And so why is it not valid? Is it because the key is for the wrong product, or is the key, like if it's already been activated, they'll say the key's been used. Some errors are better and more descriptive, but in the case of the wrong key for the version, it doesn't tell you that. There are, I believe, some websites online that if you put the key in, it'll tell you what it's for. It'll break the key apart. But if you want to share your private product key with an unknown random website, don't be surprised if it gets stolen. I'm not saying that they're all going to steal it, but which ones steal and which ones don't participate. You won't have to worry about it. So for me anyway, if this had a Windows 11 home key in it, that's not what the website says. And if it did have a Windows 11 home key in it, I'd still want Pro on it, because I'm trying to avoid a support call from a typical end user that doesn't understand there's really no difference for them. They just want it because of the power of marketing and the blindness following of people online. So rather than argue with them, if that's what the customer wants, that's what they'll get. Most customers don't know the difference between Home and Pro. They don't even. It's the customer that knows just a little bit more that's the pain in the butt, because they don't know enough to understand. And rather than educate them, it's faster and more profitable to just give them what they want. So if you give them Windows 11 Pro out of the gate, you'll never have that support call ever. So for me, it's a worthwhile investment. I'd rather spend the money to buy the key than spend my time on the phone with the client at my own expense and losses. Which one's cheaper? So I just always put Windows 11 Pro on. At least for my customers. It doesn't matter if they need it. I don't have to ask them which version of Windows they have. I can get to the nitty-gritty and get them help faster when everybody's always the same. Consistency makes you more profitable, makes you faster, it gives you happier customers. They don't know the difference in most cases between Home and Pro. I've had viewers ask me, how do I upgrade Home to Pro? And I go, well, why? Why do you want to do that? Well, it's better. Explain to me how it's better. And they'll go to Google, and you can tell they copied and pasted something. So then I ask them, what you just copied and pasted, I'll ask specifically, okay, it says it does encryption. You're using encryption? Should I? They don't even know. What else? You can join a domain server. So you're using this with a server? I don't know, am I? No. You get remote access. You can have remote access with any of 3 dozen different free utilities online that are way better than what Microsoft's giving you included in Windows. When Microsoft includes something in Windows, it's the most basic thing. Like, take Notepad compared to Microsoft Word. There's no comparison. Word is a very basic, bare bones text editor. That's it. You could write a novel in it if you want to, or WordPad. But when you want all the full-featured advantages of a full working word processor, you don't use the one that came with Windows, and it's going to cost you. In much the same way, Windows comes with backup software. It's the bare minimum. It's better than nothing. But it's a fraction of what you get with Acronis or Macrium or any of the other hundreds of backup programs out there that are so much more feature-rich. So when Microsoft includes something in Windows, it's the bare bones, basic, throw-in, giveaway thing. And if that's all you need, that's fine. That's fine. But there's nothing in Windows 11 Pro that I'd say 99.7% of home users need. It's a complete waste of money, and it's just marketing. It's how powerful marketing psychologically impacts people that they tell me, I don't care, I want it anyway. Great, I'm happy to do the work and take your money. And there won't be any difference when I'm done, only you'll see the word Pro instead of Home. And they're happy. You can even call the customer up a month later. Are you glad you went from Home to Pro? And they go, yes. Okay. Fine with me. It's like people that buy brown eggs and they won't buy the white eggs. They're the same. They're the exact same. If you scientifically analyze them, they're no different. It's just the color of the shell. I could take some eggs and dye them brown and you would never know. You would never know. It's all marketing. That's all it is. And people will fight for their ignorance. They will defend their ignorance. Carey, you don't know what you're talking about. Brown eggs are different. No, they're not. And you just don't want to hear it. So you keep spending more for your brown eggs. Okay? If that makes you happy and it's a placebo and it's not real, but you believe it to be real, it's not causing any harm other than your own finances. Has no impact on me. Do your own research. It's all an illusion. Thank you to the marketing companies. That's how powerful they are. That's how psychologically manipulative they are. And if you like that, have at it. I don't like it, and I want you to be aware. So at least when you make that decision, you understand why you're doing it. And that's okay. Or maybe you'll staunchly defend that I'm a moron so that I don't challenge your beliefs because you can't handle it. That's fine. It makes no difference in my life. I'm not in the egg business. I'm in the truth business. W.E. Holmes says, hi from Ballater, Scotland, where the weather is a pleasant 63 Fahrenheit. Patches of blue sky and no rain. I didn't realize W.E. Holmes is another Scottish viewer. That's cool. I'll try and remember that. So we've got a viewer in the chat room that says Pro is so much better. There's the power of marketing. You notice how they're vague and not specific? Just take my word for it. There are a handful of individuals that will take advantage of those business features, but outside of a business, it doesn't really make any sense. But it's your money. You know, you might think the dirt tastes better than a chocolate bar. I don't care. I'm not telling you you're wrong. I'm telling you the facts, and as it applies to the majority of consumers, it is a waste of money. You may not represent the majority of consumers. I don't care. I really don't care. You could believe in the boogeyman. I don't care. But I will tell you there's no such thing. And if you just want to push back and defend your ignorance, I'm okay with that too. That's all I need to know about you. Let's see. Bikeman said for a long time until Windows 8, I bought the Media Center bonus pack. And then I got Windows 8 Pro free, and then I got Windows 10 Pro free, and when Windows 10 came out in 2015, and ever since, I've had Pro, even on 11. Yeah, well, there's no harm in having Pro. There's no harm in it. But the idea that you would spend money to upgrade to it as a home user is just wasting your money. And you know what? It's not illegal to waste your money. The guy in the 1970s sold pet rocks to everybody, and he was selling out of rocks. How do you run out of rocks to sell? They came in a little carrier with little holes so it could breathe and had a name. And it was a rock picked up off of the ground, cleaned, and put into a cardboard box. And people bought it, not because they believed it was a real pet, but because it was a joke and they thought it was funny, and they paid money for the joke to be a part of it. Do you think anybody still has their pet rocks today? Probably most people threw them out decades ago, but there's probably a handful of people that still have them. Maybe 99.9% of the people who bought them threw them away, and 0.001%, or just rather 1% rather, maybe still have them at most. And you'll find them online. That's where they are. You won't find them in real life, probably. All right, I think we're done because the fan quieted down. Let me see what I wasn't paying attention to any of the results. Let me pull up this full screen here so I can see. Oh yeah, that's really overheating. Oh boy. Core 5 got to 91 degrees Celsius for a few milliseconds. That's called normal and intentional. If it didn't get that hot, you wouldn't have gotten that high of performance. Then you'd complain it's too slow, right? That's the logic. So numbers look good here. Score at 11,264. I'm not quite sure where this chip would fall normally. I assume that's in range. Let's do the single core test now and see if it gets any hotter. I'm not worried. If anything, I would be concerned if we weren't hitting into the 90s that we're leaving performance on the table. It's designed to run that hot. It's just not supposed to run that hot 100% of the time. That's when you got problems. That is not too hot. That is exactly running as it is intended to run, and anybody educated in this would know that. And that's what I'm here to offer you, is that education, so you don't make a fool of yourself in an online review, letting everybody know that you don't understand how it works. I don't know why people would do that, but they do. And those are the days we live in. We now boast ignorance, and we're proud of it. I can't wait for the next 20 years to see where this goes. So I'm doing my part, try and educate people. No one, because it's not good psychologically to get yourself all worked up over something simply because you don't understand it. It's not healthy. We're always looking for evidence. People can say whatever they want to. I say, show me. Show me the evidence. Prove it. If you can't prove it, you're full of crap. You can't be bothered, then I can't be bothered to believe you. I stand by what I say, and I demonstrate and act exactly what I say. I prove it to you. You want to tell me I'm wrong? Prove it. Just saying words is a dog barking. It's just noise. Just heard dogs bark. You guys hear the dogs? That's hilarious. Perfect timing. It gets me worked up because it's so wrong. It's unjust for people to behave that way. And you shouldn't treat companies or individuals in a way that you yourself don't want to be treated. And if that's what you're going to dish out, I hope you're prepared to take it in response. I'm okay with being corrected, and I'm okay with being proven wrong, but you're going to have to prove it. I'm just not going to take your word. No. No. And I don't expect you to take my word. I prove it live on camera, unscripted. I have no control over the outcome. If you're not willing to play by those rules, then I don't want to play with you, because you're playing by a different set of rules. We're not playing the same game. And enjoy your fun. I'm going to go have my fun away from you. That's all. That's all I'm saying. You're not doing anything wrong. I'm just not going to participate. Mark Gaines said he's got a pile of pet rocks in his backyard. Yeah, well, I think we all do, don't we? Are they all in little boxes with names and little holes? Oh, the 70s were a weird time. Let me scroll through the chat, see what I've been missing here. Let's see. Mark Leibowitz and Andy talking about some mini PC. I don't know what they're talking about. Eugene Ildago says hello. Yeah, happy Memorial Day, Eugene. Happy Memorial Day to everybody here in the U.S. And a shout out and a thank you to our veterans, which is why we have a Memorial Day. Without them, there wouldn't be a Memorial Day. I missed Buster's earlier comment. He says, I hope he will put me to sleep. From the looks of things, I succeeded. I pat myself on the back. I love it. Mark Leibowitz said, as a computer technician, for my clients to never see my face and never get to meet me, I think some of my clients might like that. Well, please introduce me to them. I'll take the money. They won't know any different who's working on the computer, right? You know, while we're waiting for the test to run, I don't have to like leave the computer alone. Why don't we just go ahead and download GPU-Z now? Because putting an even heavier workload on this is even more intense than just Cinebench. So let's really just beat the heck out of it to see just how terrible those one-star reviewers are saying it is. So while it's running, you know, we still have 4.5 minutes left. Let's bring up Microsoft Edge, and we're going to type in GPU-Z, enter. That's what I want. Well, actually, I didn't want it from Tech Power Up. I thought that would come up from the CPU-Z website. CPU-Z. Should have like a little sub area. They should use. Maybe not. I mean, Tech Power Up is reputable. I'm not worried about it. I just would prefer to get it directly from the developer. Let's go to downloads. What does it have for downloads? See, this is the problem. It's just a lot of advertising and nonsense. What does it say about it here? Download GPU-Z. All right, well, that's not terrible. Oh, here we get more advertisements everywhere. Standard version. I wanted the portable version. Is there not a portable version? Let's do this. PortableApps.com. That's a reliable website. We could do that. I don't know why the developer's site's not coming up. That's all right. Download from Portable Apps. Okay. Downloaded. Okay, that's not bad. Hasn't started yet. There it goes. Oh, it's an executable again. I was expecting a zip file. Let's open it. Again, Cinebench is still running in the background. So we're really causing this computer to work much harder than normal. Why would a portable need an installer? Like, make up your mind. Yeah, that shouldn't be happening on portable. Let's run it and let's just verify if it'll tell us our graphics card model besides Radeon. I'd like more specific information. And we'll close this out. I guess I started to install it twice, huh? Oh, Tech PowerUp has it branded. Interesting. Well, you know what? I still don't see the model. I mean, we could look up Rembrandt and determine what it is, but isn't that weird? There it is. When I hit the lookup button, it verifies. It shouldn't be that hard, man. But yeah, it's a 680M. So again, I appreciate that reminder of this utility. Normally, I'd say I never have used this utility to have to figure out what graphics card is. Yeah, but since it's soldered on, or rather part of the CPU, you'd think they would, you know, Intel doesn't do that. Nobody does that. AMD doesn't even do this. This is the first time I've ever encountered this problem with this particular, appears to be with this particular CPU, because they don't do that with other CPUs. They'll tell us what we've got right in the device manager. AMD is very inconsistent when it comes to software and drivers. They're a hardware company, and there's just the software that they make, unfortunately, doesn't hold a candle to more polished vendors like Intel. And this is evidence of that. And I'm not saying that that makes them a terrible company, but as a technician, it makes my job harder. All because somebody wants to play games or save a couple dollars in some cases. I don't even think the savings is there anymore between AMD and Intel. So it's frustrating as a technician to have to do certain things that I don't have to do ordinarily, such as try and figure out something simple like what graphics card do I have. And I'm sure AOOSTA and, you know, hundreds of other utilities would make this easier, but I don't need them. Except right here for this chip. It has nothing to do with AOOSTAR. This is all AMD's responsibility. And I'm very disappointed that even years and years after their successful chips, you know, being very competitive in the market, they still basically have no investment in software development. And it's very lacking. And unfortunately, the public's okay with it. As a technician, I mean, I don't know how other techs like Mark Leibowitz or Frank Jimmy that are in our community feel about that. But me having to do something special just for this one chip made by AMD, I would feel the same way if I had to do something special for an Intel chip that I didn't have to do for other chips. It doesn't meet the industry standard. There's no law that says it has to, but it does slow me down for something that should have taken 2 seconds. And why? What makes it so different other than laziness? That's all I can say. No justifiable reason. I think this thing is set to never go above 91 degrees Celsius. I think there's a thermal throttle in there that's kicking in. And that's just the way mobile chips work. They prevent them from burning up. And by the way, this thing's been very quiet the whole time. Right now, it's really quiet. And then sometimes when it gets under a heavy load, I hear the fans, you know, ramp up. But there's still, it's just this one fan. And it's just a nice little white noise in the background. I barely notice it. I mean, I don't have to talk over it or anything. It's not very loud. But it's loud enough you can hear the difference between the rotational speeds, which is reassuring that it's doing what it's supposed to do. And if it did it very loudly, or if it had a squeak or a whine, then you'd hear me squeak and whine about it. But everything about this is exactly like any other mini PC. It's not any louder, it's not any quieter. And again, look at the price. What a deal. Those are all Gen 4x4 NVMe slots. I don't need to run Crystal Disk Mark. I know exactly what it's going to read. Well, I know an idea. We're going to be over 7,000 on the sequential reads, because that's what the drive can do. We're not going to be held back by the motherboard, which we would on other mini PCs not as well equipped. So I guess the next thing we can do after this test completes is just take a look at the BIOS and see what it looks like. I don't expect much configuration options in there, but we would can confirm there is RAID options in there. I would not boot this off of a RAID array. I think that's a foolish and unwise thing unless you live in 1994. Other than that, if you're in 2026 or later like the rest of us, save your RAID array for your NAS. Keep that much storage external. If you want to use it because you want to and it doesn't matter what, you're happy with the consequences, I would strongly recommend you have a bootable drive, like what we booted from. And then once you get it all configured, then I would add 2 more drives, go into the BIOS. And the order of this is important. I would not put all 3 drives in at the same time, or you're never going to know which one's your boot drive. It's going to be very challenging for you to diagnose it when you have a problem, and you will have a problem. So the best advice I can give you is put 1 drive in, install Windows, install your drivers, get yourself activated. It takes a long time, right? You got to put the work in. Then shut it down, add your other 2 NVMe drives, go into the BIOS, set those up as your RAID array, and then complete your RAID in Windows. And that way, when your RAID array fails, and it will, you can still boot into Windows to fix it. But if your RAID array fails and you're booting from it, I can't help you. That's way too much work, and I can't do it remotely. I have to have it. You'd have to mail your computer into me unless you were local, and then I could work on it. But I can't help you remotely with that. You just dug yourself a hole that's too far away for me to help dig you out of. But again, if I had the machine in front of me, I could undo the damage you caused by making bad decisions. That to me is a bad decision, and anybody who doesn't make that bad decision won't be in that position ever. But as long as you do that, you open up the door for that to happen. All you need is time. Every single time. It just needs time. And if you're okay with it, I'm okay with it. Why in the world would you be okay with that? That's crazy. The reason we used RAID back in the day was because of the speed of hard drives being so slow and the capacities being so small. And hard drives are much, much, much bigger than they used to be. And NVMe drives are 20, 30 times faster than hard drives. I don't care how big of a RAID array you create with a hard drive. It'll never be as fast as a Gen 3 NVMe drive, let alone Gen 4, Gen 5. So why are you wasting your time trying to archaically set up systems that no longer serve any functional purpose financially or reliability-wise? Save that for your NAS. Or don't, I don't care, but common sense should prevail for most of us, I would hope. It's nice to have options, though. It's nice to know you can set yourself up for failure under the illusion of being faster. It's nice to be allowed to make bad decisions. And I would hope that you're wise enough and you respect yourself enough to not take advantage of it. And it's your stuff, it's your money, it's your time. So if I were going to set the RAID up on this, that's how I would do it. I would make the RAID array a data drive only. But how intolerant are you that a Gen 4 NVMe isn't fast enough that you got to have 2? That's ridiculous. I would put you through the same paces and see how fast you are. And then be as intolerant back to you about how slow you are and how slow you think and why you're not as fast. You'd probably be offended by it. But the fact is, a lot of people, like I see people driving these really fast sports cars, Corvettes, like in the freeway. I can't recall seeing a young person drive a Corvette. It's too expensive for most young persons to afford, let alone the insurance. So who's driving it? Somebody with gray hair, bald hair, lots of wrinkles, who's earned their money, bought their dream car. But are they fast? No. The only time they're fast is when they get in the car. Once they're out of the car, you don't want to get caught behind them in the supermarket. That's all I'm saying. Come on, old man, get out of the way. But boy, you put them in that car and there's Speed Racer. We make up for our losses as humans by buying things that are faster than we are and then complaining it's not fast enough, when we don't even hold ourselves up to those own standards in most cases. The hypocrisy is so bizarre. Let me make up for my shortcomings by spending some money. Okay, I mean, I guess I'm just jealous I don't have the money to do that, really. So it's cheaper for me to just keep practicing and getting better than it is to just pay some money for some artificial boost. But hey, spoils of the rich, I guess. All right, we're just about done with the test. It is running the final benchmark, and we should have the scores up here in just a minute. Jose Lopez with a $1 super chat. Thank you, Jose. Why is this not clicking? Maybe Mara already, oh yeah, Mara already got to you. Cool. Frank Jimmy said, I remember when I had Windows 7 Ultimate Edition just because. That's the genius of marketing, man. What a ripoff. To this day, he has no idea what made it better. Eventually, I got upgraded to Windows 10 Pro. Isn't that funny? Even Microsoft acknowledges it's worthless. They got rid of the Ultimate Editions. Okay, let me go back to full screen again because I lost my screen. There it is. Oops. There it is. Okay, final test score 1468 on the single core, 11264 on the multi-core, and 91 must be a throttle that it's impossible to go higher than that. It's just not possible. So anybody claiming this overheats at 90, they're morons. They don't. Can you imagine going to a French restaurant and then complaining there's snails on your plate? How disgusting is you have no pest control here? There's literally snails on my plate. How nasty and lazy are you people? You're disgusting. Get some Raid and spray. Get an exterminator in this way. No, you moron. It's a delicacy. You're supposed to eat it. Who's the idiot? Well, the person shouting from the rooftop, everybody, I'm an idiot, is doing it to themselves. You want to be that person? Because I don't. All right, let's see. Let's get a screenshot of this and save these results. So I'm going to come over here. I'll type on my keyboard function and then the print screen button. That should grab a screen capture on this little computer. We'll go to Paint, and then we will paste this. Edit and paste. Perfect. We're going to save that on the desktop. Save as a JPEG. And type in Cinebench R23 results, and we'll put it on the desktop. Save. Perfect. Now with that saved, I can close all this out, delete those apps off of the desktop. And what else? What else can we do? Oh, BIOS. Let's do start, shut down, and restart. And then as it restarts, as soon as the restarting, that word in the middle of the screen that says restarting, once that vanishes, doing some updates. I never did go back to Windows Update and double check after. I should have. Now I'm going to start hitting delete, delete, delete. You don't have to keep pressing it like a maniac. Just very calmly. Just press it like you see me doing. And if delete is the right key, the BIOS will appear. Let's get rid of camera 1 so you can see the whole BIOS. BIOS version 1.00. Wow, that's unusual. Recognizes our NVMe drive manufacturer and model number. That's nice, right on the main page. The manufacturer's name is Tianbei. There's your AMD TPM. There's your NVMe RAID right there. You have to turn it on first, save and exit, and then go back into the BIOS to configure it after it's enabled. Hardware monitor and CPU config. Oh, good, an IDE configuration, because I love 1991. What else? PCI devices. Guessing the IDE config is some carryover from an older BIOS that they just keep, you know, building on. Saves money. Here's our Intel. Oh yeah, it is an Intel LAN and looks like an Intel wireless. Well, you know what that means. Even though it's an AMD system, we could use the Intel driver assistant to make sure we have the latest versions if we want to. Chipset information.
Southbridge information. Security information, you want to turn secure boot on? No problem. There, done. Boot information, save changes and exit. That's it. Pretty simple. Can't get yourself in too much trouble. No overclocking, no overvolting. This keeps people from causing harm to themselves. Let's reboot again, and we'll check to see if secure boot is on. Now, even though we're not activated, you see Windows doesn't care. It's still running exactly the same. Activation is there for personalization purposes only, and it will run indefinitely without. It is not the big deal people make it out to be. Thanks to the marketing companies infecting people's brains, they don't know any better. But evidence proves otherwise, and the truth always holds out in evidence, not in what people say, especially not what marketing companies say. Companies like Microsoft and Apple that afford billion-dollar marketing campaigns are basically psyops. They're psychological operations intended to manipulate the public into spending money. And if you go along with it happily and it makes you happy, no harm done. We have a little error message on our security. Let's see what it says. Oh, we don't have a Microsoft account. That's dangerous. No, it isn't. App and browser control. Why that's not turned on by default, I'll never understand, but we'll turn it on. No big deal. Addressed. Secure boot. If you want to find out if secure boot is on, you can type in msinfo. You see how it says system information? Hit enter. And under secure boot, should be in here somewhere. Secure boot. So BIOS mode is UEFI. Secure boot state is on now. Perfect. Is there a new BIOS? I doubt it, but we can look. Let's go to AOOSTAR's website. AOOSTAR BIOS download. I don't know. Let's see if that works. Drivers and systems. Yeah. And we have Mako. We had this problem before where the particular model of AOOSTAR doesn't exist on their website. Isn't that bizarre? How do they willy-nilly pick who's worthy of having a link on their site? It's like picking children, and you fail to mention one of your children in conversation all the time. I wouldn't want to be that kid. These are all AOOSTAR's children, but they're ignoring the Mako. It's not in here. Isn't that interesting? What I'm curious about, BIOS updates. Let's see, is it in, it's not Gem 12. Look at all the different versions of the Gem 10 and 12. Then there's a particular, they don't even have a model number. It's just if you have the CPU, it's so generic, so unloved. That's the redheaded stepchild, I guess. Wait, what's this? Nope. Wait, what's this? Nope. We don't have an 8845, and we don't have an H255. Oh, wait. Wait, we got something. Mako 6850. That's us. Wow, that was hard to find. Let's click on it. What's the version? It just has a date. Oh, it's taking us to Mega. Thank you, Kim.com. HCAR6000 MI7 BIOS. Okay, this tells me nothing. Let's just download it and see what it is. Yes, do I? No, you don't have to allow this. See it downloaded. So don't click allow here, or you might start getting unwanted pop-ups. It's an RAR file, which I think Windows 11 will automatically extract. Let's go to downloads. Click on that, and does extract. Yep, perfect. So you don't have to download WinRAR. It's all built into Windows now. Oh, good. They strategically named the folder U. Thank you, AOOSTAR. Could you be more vague? I would love to know the version of this BIOS so I know what to compare it to. Well, there's one way to find out. Right-click. This is so stupid. Run as administrator. Hey, if I break it, I'll send it back to Amazon for a full refund. Uh-oh. I couldn't read what that said. It didn't like something. So what this is,
They want us to copy all this to a flash drive, and that's what they want us to do. But there's also a WIN flash in here. Well, I mean, it's easier to just copy it to a flash drive. So let's grab these contents and select them all and choose copy. And let's grab a blank flash drive. Let's do it the way they want, rather than forcing the Windows flashing, which I could do, but I'm not going to show off. Let's go to the flash drive. We'll plug that. Sorry, I'm moving the computer. I might have disconnected the video cable. Okay, flash drive is in, and we'll paste onto this flash drive. And now that's the contents of the flash drive. Close all these windows. We're going to do a restart. And then we're going to go back in the BIOS and override the boot order to boot to the flash drive. Remember, we're on BIOS 1.00, so that when I do this, we'll check and see if it's got to be newer than 1.00, right? Otherwise, why would it be there? I'll start pressing delete right now. That should bring up the BIOS. There it is. Go over to boot. No, we're going to go to save and exit, boot override. That's my flash drive right there. Now, it's just this one time going to try and boot from that flash drive. Let's see what happens. Oh, you must disable secure boot. I knew that. This is why secure boot is such a pain in the butt. Let's go to security and turn secure boot off. Disable. Secure boot. Let's save changes and reset. Let's go back in one more time and change our boot override temporarily to the flash drive. So delete, 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 come on. Delete, delete, delete. I haven't missed it once. And we're gonna go back to save and exit, and one more time, boot from the flash drive. Come on, baby, let's go. There it is. Don't touch anything, leave it alone. This is an old school method that's very fragile, but it's working like it's supposed to. So long as you leave it alone, you should be successful. You think you can do it? Or should you pay somebody? Do you have impulse control? Do you respect technology? Hobbsville guy said Minisform's website has the M1 Lite 125 barebone for $303. Yeah, but this has RAM in it. So, well, that is a good deal for that Minisform. I don't know how fair it is to compare them other than they're in a similar price range. But the Minisform, if you put 24 gigs of RAM in that, how much does it raise the price? Then compare it to this and tell me what a good deal it is. Andy said, so far, I don't see any issues with this mini PC. I agree, Andy, neither do I. No idea what people are smoking on Amazon. I mean, I've heard of people saying they're buying things on Amazon when they're drunk and things show up at their door and they don't remember ordering them. What percentage of Amazon buyers are leaving reviews that were drunk when they made the purchase and don't remember buying it? Or can't remember what they were thinking when they made the purchase, and then they leave a negative review about the purchase because of their terrible decision making under the influence. I don't get it, but they have that right. That doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it socially acceptable, but it's legal. Hey, Mortant joins us and says hello. Welcome into our friend Thomas. Amazing Airshow video said, what's the best Windows 11 C drive cloning software? I like to use Acronis. I think that's pretty well known by now. But there's lots of options out there. And you use whatever you think is best. You can even use the Windows backup tool in the control panel. It's a very basic imaging software. But if you're asking me, not what the best is, because I don't know what the best. My best and your best and somebody else's best, they're not all the same. No such thing as best. There's only what's best for you, and it doesn't apply to anybody else except you. But if you're asking me what cloning software do I use, I think over the years, it should be pretty obvious. I've made a lot of videos and demonstrations using Acronis. And it's a very important tool in my business, although lately there hasn't been much need for it. Hopefully that answers your question. What's best, a Hershey bar, Kit Kat bar, a Reese's peanut butter cup, or M&Ms? No matter how you answer that, you're wrong. You can only be right for you, nobody else. And he says he would not put 3 NVMe drives in such a small case. That'd be a lot of heat. It would be, yeah. But you could put, you know, heat sinks on them if you wanted to. There's plenty of room for heat sinks. It's just a bad idea to put all your eggs in one basket. Back in the day, you didn't have much of a choice. Today, some people still want to live like they don't have choices. They want to remain ignorant. They're allowed to, but I don't have much patience for them. I can't understand why you just wouldn't buy an external enclosure, plug it into USB Type-C, it'll run just as fast. Take the heat external and get your data external, so if something happens to the machine, you still have access to your data. It's just common sense. It doesn't really cost anymore, so I don't know what people are thinking. I know what they're thinking. They're thinking, I'm going to keep doing this the way I was taught 25 years ago. That's the problem. Thank God they're not doctors. Come here, I got to put leeches on you. Do you want to get better or not? But this is how BIOSes used to look on machines back in the 90s. This was pretty common. And a lot of mini PC manufacturers, for whatever reason, fall back to this old method rather than what modern motherboard makers like ASRock and ASUS and Gigabyte and MSI do. So be it. It's fine. I even see Dell laptops do this. So it's not uncommon. But in some cases, for whatever reason I don't understand, some manufacturers are still updating BIOS in the old-fashioned way. People talking about Rolos, but you guys can't spell the word Rolo? Come on, guys. If you love it so much, wouldn't you want... Hey, Jerry, we really love you. We think you're great. That's wonderful, but my name's not Jerry. Come on. If you love it so much, how come you don't know how to spell it? There's no 2 L's in Rolo. All right. Is this going to reboot, or are we forever? Have we bricked it? I laugh because I can always return it. It's not a heart attack moment. Or did the machine just turn off? A lot of times for a BIOS update to take effect, let me come back to camera 1. A lot of times for a BIOS to take effect, it's not enough to restart. The machine may power off. Let's see, is it on? No, it's not on. This is also a hang-on from the old days of that kind of BIOS that was pretty common. I just about forgot because I was expecting it to reboot. Nothing's wrong. Let's go ahead and pull the flash drive. We can erase the flash drive. Now the BIOS is on there forever and we'll never need this again. So we'll erase it and have it for a spare for later on. Let's turn it back on. Can't tell if it's on. There it goes. I just saw the little, it's got a blue light around the button. It's pretty subtle. It'd be very difficult for me to show you, but there's a little blue light. Anyway, let's give that a second for the new BIOS to take effect, and we'll see if we bricked it. He loves Rolos too. There he goes. All right, so yeah, super exciting. I don't know what the BIOS update is for, so I can put it on before I have to find out. Proactive or reactive, it's your choice. And while we're in our 30-day return period, whether we choose to return it or exchange it is an option with Amazon regardless of the reason why. But it's not like we modified a BIOS. We used the factory authorized BIOS and followed the instructions from the factory. So it wouldn't be our fault, it would be AOOSTAR's fault. Very legitimate reason for a return. But as you can see, being patient, BIOS did finish doing what it needed to do, and all we had to do is leave it alone and give it a little respect. We told it to do something, now get out of its way and let it do it. Really not that hard. So let me just opt out of backup here and skip for here. Perfect. All right, so what version of BIOS do we have now? It used to say BIOS version 1.0. Let's go back in the BIOS. I could run CPU-Z, but let's just go back in the BIOS for the sake of comparing one thing to the same, comparing it to itself and see if it's not 1.0 anymore. And there may be other features in there, maybe not. Maybe it's RAM compatibility, could be some NVMe updates in the BIOS, or maybe nothing that we can see in the BIOS. I don't know. Like I said, you can wait until you need it, or you can just go ahead and grab it and never know why you might have needed it. And when needing it cost me money and support, what's interesting, I didn't pay attention to the build date and time because the BIOS version is claiming it's exactly the same with being 1.0. But the build date and time says it's November 17th, 2025. Let me rewind my live video. At least I record this, right? So I can go back and look. Because why they would offer the same exact BIOS that's already on the machine doesn't make any sense. Why is it there? So let's see, where do I want to go? I'm going to go to my video. Fast forward through my live. Find the BIOS. Should be right around. Oh, there it is. 11/17/2025. We just put the exact same BIOS on. That was stupid. Why is that available for download? Here we are in the video. Let me show you. That was where we were in the video when I first pulled the BIOS up. You can see yourselves in the past in the chat room there. Nothing changed. So that was really stupid. By the way, all AOOSTAR had to do was tell us on the download what version that was, and we could have saved all this time. You type V1.00, you're done. Save and exit on the website configuration page next to that download link, and we wouldn't have had to go through all this. But what do you want for this price? You want everything taken care of for you? Go buy Dell, go buy HP, go buy Lenovo. You won't have this problem. Not that it was a problem, it was just a waste of time. It didn't hurt anything, but it was completely avoidable had we had the information. That's why I make these videos, to fill in the gaps with the manufacturers, especially the Chinese manufacturers, where they don't follow American culture. It's a second language to them, so they often don't use the right words or spelling, like without being spelled with a U, W-U-T-H instead of W-I-T-H, and they don't spell check or verify the information that they posted online is accurate. It's a different culture. They don't care as much. For whatever reason, I can't explain it because I've never been there and I've never lived there, so I don't know the way that the attitude of the people and their pride and ego doesn't seem to be the same as Americans. They seem much more, close enough, it's fine. Even when you make them aware of it, they still don't fix it. They honestly don't care. That's what I'm seeing culturally out of Asia. I don't know why. And I shouldn't say Asia, I should specifically say China, because not all Asian countries share that same close enough attitude. The Japanese in particular are a lot more precise, just as the Germans are a lot more precise in general than almost anybody else. That's just not that everybody is all stereotyped, but that is the stereotype for a reason. Okay, I think we're done. Let me turn Secure Boot back on, I guess now. I don't know why, but we could.
Let me turn off camera 1 for a second so I can see the screen. Go to secure boot, turn that back on. And save and exit. That's it. So unless you have any other questions for me or there's anything else you want to talk about, that's all I've got for you for today. I'll give you a second here to respond to me in the chat room. I can put myself back in the corner in the meantime and see what's on your mind. Jim Kinney just used Copilot to ask about Rolos. I don't know how Rolos are sold in other countries. If they do spell it with 2 L's, I've never witnessed that in my entire life in the United States. If they do spell it with 2 L's, I don't know what country that is, but there you go. Yeah, isn't AI great? Bull142 said, I'm old enough to remember installing Windows 95. What, you're not old enough to remember installing Windows 3.1 or DOS 3.0? Come on, man. You're not that old. You don't want to get in that contest with me. Nobody's older than me. Andy would describe this as being a high-tier case with high-tier ports and an upper to mid-tier CPU integrated GPU, which isn't bad for anyone that can put in their own NVMe drive and operating system. And anyone can follow what I showed. If you just follow exactly what I did, the only specialty thing I used was a screwdriver to open it. Other than that, all you have to do is pay attention and do what I do. Step by step, pause the video. If you need more time, go at your own pace. Take a break when you need to take a break. Come back, the video will wait for you. And it will walk you through every step of everything you need to know. And if that's too much work and you can't be bothered or you feel overwhelmed by it, go buy a Dell, go buy an HP, go buy a Lenovo. That's why these choices exist. It's not everybody's cup of tea. Have you ever shopped for tea? There's a lot of choices. All right, guys. Windows 95 on a floppy disk? Yeah, for sure. Windows 95 did have a CD, but we certainly didn't do it by USB. I probably installed Windows 95 on CD most of the time, but remember, not all computers had CD drives back then. So you didn't have a choice. You had to use floppy disk. Microsoft offered it both ways. Again, I'm waiting to see if there's any questions, just to be polite. I don't want to shut you guys down before you have a chance. This is what gets me in trouble. Bring it on. Let's see. We'll reach out to AOOSTAR's customer support. I'm curious if they're going to send us a key or not. I don't care. I honestly don't care. I'll just buy a key. I love supporting our friends at VIP-URCDKEYs anytime I have an excuse. It's not expensive. And they've been very good to us, so we want to be good back to them. Any excuse I have to buy a key, I do so gladly, with pleasure. I know I'm not getting ripped off. However, you know, if AOOSTAR says we're not going to give you a key, then I'm going to say, well, why does it say on your Amazon page that it's included if it's not included? And I'll see how they respond. But I'm not going to fight or get angry about it. I'm just interested. I'm curious what their response is. I'll bet you when asked, they'll probably provide the key, and all you had to do was ask. There's no reason to get upset until you give them a chance to respond. Then maybe there'll be a reason, but let's find out. Before we react, let's wait until there's something to react to outside of our imagination. We did reach out to, let me think now, what was the last company we worked with, the last mini PC that needed an activation? ADreamer? We reached out to ADreamer to ask about an activation key, but because it was Friday and now it's Sunday, we haven't gotten a response, but that's very reasonable. I'm going to give them till Wednesday or Thursday, depending on my mood.
So certainly by Friday, if I've not heard back from them, that's unacceptable. And they're going to get a low score on support. That's all. I know I can't count on them if that's what they're going to do, because their support said it's 24/7. So me saying, okay, it's the weekend and etc., is really giving them an excuse, which according to them, isn't required because they're supposed to be 24/7. I should get a response within 24 hours. The fact that I've gotten no response at all is very common on cheap, unknown brands sold on Amazon of anything. It's not going to change my mind of whether or not it's a good computer. I just know that if I need help and I can't return it to Amazon, I'm stuck with it. That's all. And that they're not going to help me. And I just want to know what to expect. And I won't ever ask them for help again. I tried once, I won't waste my time trying a second time. They blew it. Whether or not I choose to buy their machine again, I still might buy it. It might be okay with, not even needing support. And if I have to go buy a product key, if that's the only thing, so what? Still a good deal. And I want you to know what to expect. So if we do get a response and they do provide us a key, I'll tell you. And if they don't, I'll tell you that too. And if you're okay with it or you're not okay with it, that's up to you. I just can't offer a machine to a customer that the company isn't going to be there. If my customer's down, they need help now. I need to have an answer within 24 hours. So if I were to sell that to a customer, I'd need to have a backup machine available, just a spare one. And is there enough profit in it for me to afford that? Or should I just choose another manufacturer? So that's why my decision-making process is maybe a little different than yours. If a customer wants to order 10 of them, I'll have the customer buy the spare one. It won't even cost me a penny. I'll say, look, this is a really good deal, but if you're going to buy a dozen of them or whatever, get an extra one. That way we always have a spare that we can work on getting the other one replaced, whether it's going to be replaced for free or we have to go and buy another one. And if they're not available anymore, we probably won't buy their brand ever again. We'll probably just, the customer will probably agree from anytime these die, we'll replace them with minis for them or we'll replace them with somebody else. On the other hand, if all machines live out their lives without problems, then we end up with a spare computer regardless. A pretty small insurance policy. You know how much insurance costs? You would pay a lot more than that over the course of the life of the computer if you're paying annually for insurance on that. Buy your own insurance. That's my advice. For stuff like this anyway. Andy says he don't know if AOOSTAR is still offering the service. Well, then why does the website say as much? See what I'm saying? According to Amazon, it came with Windows 11 Pro. Does it or doesn't it? Don't lie to me. Say what you mean and mean what you say. If you made a mistake, fix it. But give them an opportunity. Don't assume. Do not speak on behalf of the company. Let the company speak for themselves. Give them time to speak. If, like ADreamer, they don't respond, they're speaking. They're saying it very loud and clear. But AOOSTAR and ADreamer are, it'd be like me saying, hey, your brother's a jerk, so you're a jerk too. What kind of logic is that? Well, because you're raised in the same house by the same parents, you both must be equal jerks. I'm not my brother. He's the nice guy. I'm the jerk. All right. I don't see any questions in the chat, so I guess we're... Oh, wait a minute. Coreyman says, does the power brick get very hot? It gets as hot as a power brick. Who cares? Who cares? It does what it's supposed to do. Do you think... I don't understand your question. I do encourage questions, but sometimes you guys ask the weirdest questions. Who cares? Why did you ask that? Can you give me an example where a power brick getting hot has created a problem? And if so, would you please inform me what the problem was? It's just not a customer service call I've ever had in 35 years in this business, so I can't make heads or tails of it. It runs as it's supposed to run. It's not for you to decide if it's too hot. That's not your, unless you engineered it, how would you know? And unless there's problems with the computer, why are you looking for problems where there are none? I'm trying to wrap my head around why you want to know. Please tell me so I can understand why you're asking that question. You must have had some kind of experience, and I would love to know what it is. When you're dealing with a really high-end computer that's, sucking in a lot of power, generating a lot of performance, like a gaming PC that's powering a graphics card, it's using more power. When it uses more power, it's going to get warmer. And when I say it, I'm referring to the CPU, the RAM, the storage, and the power supply, whether internal or external. That's how it works. That's the nature of physics. When it catches fire, or causes a system to crash, or you burn your hand touching it, that's a problem. Usually the way they resolve those problems is by putting a sticker on it that says, do not touch. But that doesn't mean there's any problem. CareyHolzman said, I've seen lots of uncertified power supplies from third-party factories to cut costs. Can you give me an example specifically of a power supply that was not certified and what problem that caused you specifically? I would, again, whether or not something's certified or uncertified, who cares? Just because I bought USDA certified beef doesn't mean it's not going to get me sick. Doesn't mean that I prepared it correctly. It doesn't mean that it's not out of date. It doesn't mean that it wasn't packaged properly. Just because it's certified is not a guarantee that it's going to run any better. You're fooling yourself. It's a formality of a bureaucracy that doesn't necessarily result in any real world difference, in my experience and in my opinion. But if you can name an example where I'm wrong specifically, I would love for you to educate me on that so that I know if I should be worried about it, because I'm not, for the reasons I just stated. That's more government bureaucracy concern, not end user concern. But if you've ever had an experience where it caused damage, I would love to know about it. As far as I know, everything is certified unless proven otherwise. So if you know something I don't, please share it with me. Sincerely. Andy says, AOOSTAR advertisement says to contact support for activation. This was over the Christmas holidays. That's why I say a lot of companies, Nemo does the same thing. Nemo says, if you want Pro and we sent you home, just ask us, we'll give it to you. But if you don't ask them, you don't get. And then if you're going to leave a negative review, that's nonsense. That's unfair. So we'll reach out to AOOSTAR and we'll see if they respond and what they have to say. Fair chance. Then we'll let you know the results. Because Windows doesn't require activation to use it, what do I care? I don't care. And because I can get reliable Windows 11 authentic keys for 25 bucks, I could actually just get a Windows 10 Pro key and put it on there. It'll activate the same, at least for now anyway. Once it's activated, it stays activated for life, regardless if the Windows 10 activation key no longer works to activate Windows 11 in the future. As long as you've activated before that deadline, which Microsoft hasn't defined, the end result won't change for you. But if you wait too late, then it won't work anymore, for a first-time activation. And a Windows 10 Pro key is a little bit cheaper. Shane Perkins says maybe CareyHolzman is thinking about old transformers. I don't know, a lot's changed over the years, so those things you were worried about. How do I know if the tubes in this are good? Probably because we don't use tubes anymore, right? I don't know. That's why that whole question doesn't make any sense to me. Who cares? What's the results? What's the evidence? But just taking your word for it? Because I've been in this business 35 years and I've never even had a thought about that. Never had a reason to. So I want to know what your reason is. You just curious? Or do you actually have any experience? And if you do, would you please share it with us? That's all. Because answering people's imagination is kind of a waste of time. As you can imagine, whatever you want, we'll be here forever answering all kinds of hypothetical situations that are never in reality anything to be concerned about. And I don't understand why people would be hypochondriacs when it comes to this. If you're sick, you're sick, and if you're not, you're not. I mean, it's one or the other. So there must be a reason. I would love to know the reason so we can get to the bottom of it, genuinely and sincerely. If it's just imagination, well, I can't fix your imagination. Or if it's some experience you had 20 years ago, I can't go back in time and help you. But where we're at today, and for the last 35 years I've been doing this, there's never been an issue where a power supply or a power brick got too hot. I have had power supplies get too hot because the fans stopped working, but there's no fans in these. So as far as these go, you know, they either work or they don't work. We've certainly had to replace them when they go bad. Did they go bad because they got too hot? Who cares? Who cares? Unless it's happening routinely and you have to replace it every 3 months, different story. It's running the temperature it's supposed to run unless you have evidence to prove otherwise, which usually is, look at the computer's not running right. It won't turn on or it's crashing, you know, some evidence. That's all I want. Is that so much? No evidence. We just decided to put you in jail for no reason. Okay, that's fair. Andy says, thanks, Carey and Mara. It was really a mini-palooza review. Mini-palooza. Speaking of mini-palooza, I've got a few more minis still ahead. GMK Tech, another AOOSTAR. That one's going to be bare bones. It will require RAM and storage. We've got the French Cube, plus a part 2 on the Essential and the little mini one. So we've already looked at the first part of the Essential. We need to follow up a part 2 on that. And then we've got the Cube, the little teeny tiny one, which we've not unboxed. Or we've taken it out of the box, but we never plugged it in. What else do we have? Glorlin, which is a subsidiary of Gatorly. We bought one of their machines just because. And we got to follow up with the A-Dreamer and find out if they respond to us regarding the Windows license. And then we'll follow up with this and see if they responded and provide us the license or not. What else? What else? No, I'm forgetting something. Guess we're down to 4. GMK Tech, AOOSTAR, the little tiny Cube, and Glorlin. That's all we have left in the box. That's it, and then we're done. I mean, there's nothing else. Unless something else comes in between now and then, or if you guys, you know, have a recommendation that we can afford to get something on Amazon, we're going to have to find something else to do in future broadcasts once we run out of this content. We continue to just keep dog paddling. We're not drowning, but we're also not progressing because of this stale economy and the stale industry. We're hoping to stay afloat until things turn around. Could happen tomorrow. Could happen in a year from now. All we're trying to do is keep it moving. Keep her moving. Our friends over at Cyped are creating a little teeny tiny nano KVM that plugs in. It's just one single cable. You can plug it into your phone, your laptop, your mini PC. It's wireless touchscreen. And on Twitter, they're asking people to vote on, should it be a metal case, a plastic case, should it be a touchscreen or a physical button, and everybody's voting on it. Not everybody. There's maybe 24 people that are making these decisions, and if you're not involved and you're interested, you should be following Cyped on Twitter so you can be involved in the outcome. Cyped said they've already got the internals designed and ready to go. They're just trying to figure out the case, the screen, those kind of things, and they're asking people on Twitter what to vote on it.
And, you know, the folks over at GLINet are working on the same thing. And how much do you want to bet the GLINet's going to be more expensive and less flexible, and the Nano KVM will be cheaper and more feature rich? I would love to be wrong, but that's what it's been the last 2 times. GLINet comes to market with an idea that sounds great, but then when you get it, it's physically larger, more expensive, and less flexible. And then Nano KVM comes along, or SiPeed comes along and offers it for almost half the price, half the weight, half the size, and has more features. Do you think we're going to see that again? Neither product is released yet. GLINet doesn't even have it on Kickstarter yet. And SiPeed, as far as I know, might come to market before GLINet even comes to market with a better, superior, cheaper product in every way. If the past is anything to go off of, and we're expecting more of the same. GLINet, I think they're just not very competitive. So whenever that happens, we'll grab one and review it, but that's still probably many months away, maybe August or September would be my guess. What else? Trying to think if there's anything else I'm missing. I'll wrap this up with something completely off topic. I found this website, and I've talked about this before, but I'm so fascinated with it. It's called Goldbelly. They don't pay me anything. Obviously, they're not a sponsor, but I'm able to get that favorite Detroit pizza that I love when I go to Michigan, have it shipped to my door, and it's actually cheaper than eating it in Michigan. I don't know how that math works out, but I'll buy 3 pizzas for $100. They're more than $30 each at the restaurant. They show up at the door frozen with ice packs, shipped overnight from FedEx. They're not knockoffs, it's the real deal. Cooking instructions, pop it in the oven. It's exactly the same taste. Since that worked really well, I looked on Goldbelly, and they sell food from all 50 states that are famous food places, whether it's cakes, breads, pastas, seafood, whatever the specialty is, it can be shipped frozen to your door. So I tried a place I've always wanted to try. The oldest pizzeria in the United States is in New York. It's called Lombardi's. And looking at reviews on YouTube of people eating at Lombardi's, that pizza does not look good to me. However, it is historical, and I wanted to experience it without the expense of going to New York to go get pizza. So I ordered 4 of them for about $100, maybe $110. And they showed up at the door overnight. And it was mind-blowing. I've never had a pizza that good in my life. Never, ever. Like what I thought was good pizza doesn't seem so good anymore. Now, it's not fair to compare a Detroit pan pizza to a New York. Well, in this case, it's not really a New York pizza. It's a Neapolitan pizza, which is different. More of a traditional Naples pizza. Oh, wow. Wow. I couldn't stop eating it, and my stomach hurt. And I don't even think I really ate the day after. I was still full. That was the single best. I thought there's a pizza place here that I think nobody can touch. It's so amazing, but it's way on the other side of town. And Mitch and I will meet over there and meet up over there and get a pizza. He gets his, I get mine. They're small. And oh my gosh, it's so good. But now that I've had this Lombardi's pizza from New York, that pizza place in Scottsdale doesn't seem so good anymore. I kind of ruined it. So there's like New Haven style pizza out of Connecticut. They start like bar style pizza I'm interested in. There's a few places out of Chicago that you'd have to go to Chicago to eat it, but Goldbelly offers it shipped frozen to your door. And now the world of famous restaurants around the United States is now available to be brought right to my door. And it works. It's not knockoffs. It's not arriving thawed with the ice melted. It packed really well.
And I'm not saying I'm going to eat every night because I can't afford to from Gold Belly, but once every month or two is a nice little reward to myself. I want to explore food tourism in the United States for the well-known, respected places that people that live in the area swear by. If I want a Philadelphia cheesesteak from Pat's Cheesesteaks, I can order it off Gold Belly, and they'll ship it to me with the roll, the condiments, the meat, all separately packaged, and instructions how to put it together, and it ships the day before, still fresh. If I want donuts cooked fresh that can't be frozen, they will arrive within hours after being made to my front door. That's expensive, but if you really like that company's donuts, you can open the package and eat them, and it's just like you're right there. Now, I don't know if you can picture how far New York is from Phoenix, but it got here overnight. If I got in the car and drove, it would be about 4 days, maybe 5 days of driving, plus hotels, plus gas. That shipped from New York, it went to New Jersey, and then it was on a plane to somewhere in the middle of the country. And then from there, it went on an angle all the way. So it starts over here in New York, a little hop over to New Jersey, then a big arc over to the center of the United States, kind of north, and then a direct angled arc back down to Arizona. Overnight. It went that far. That's like 2,500, I don't know, it's close to 3,000 miles. Are you kidding me? Are we not living in the best times in humankind has ever experienced? And the Detroit pizza was perfect. This Lombardi's blew my mind. And now there's these other famous places like John's on Bleecker Street in New York is famous. And you can't get it any other way. They don't sell it at the grocery store. There's also Sally's a pizza in what is it, Rhode Island, Connecticut, Boston, that area, that New England area. Everybody swears by it. I'm not going to Boston. I got no plans, but Boston can come to me. Okay, I'll try it. Suddenly, Red Baron and DiGiorno don't seem so appealing anymore. Cheaper and more convenient, but they don't hold a candle to what I had from Lombardi. It's not even fair to call what Red Baron and DiGiorno make pizza. That's not even fair. It's so different. Wow. I wish I had known about Gold Belly sooner. Man, I got to get them to sponsor me. I tell you what an amazing ability to be. What a genius idea to be able to do food tourism. Like in Phoenix, we supposedly have the best pizza called Pizzeria Bianco. And they say the best pizza is in Phoenix, and it's this one place. And I've eaten there, and there's always a big line. I don't need to wait in any lines. They're on Gold Belly. I could have it shipped from Phoenix right here to Phoenix if I want to, and not wait in the line. But I have had it, and it was good, but it's not the best in America, in my opinion. It's good, though. This Lombardi's is the best I've ever had in my life. Of course, it's how old is this company? 1905? 121 years old, this company. And I think they're still cooking in the same oven. And they've never changed the recipe. Must be doing something right. And as far as I'm concerned, they are. So this is so exciting for me now that I get to travel without traveling. Because one of my favorite things about traveling is the local cuisine. Well, their local cuisine can come to me for a fraction of the cost. I love it. Yeah, I encourage you to check it out. And that's all 50 states. I don't think they ship overseas because I don't think the food would have to go through customs, so probably wouldn't survive. What are you laughing at me? That was like a religious experience I had.
I was just going to say, if only we could have put on camera your face when you were starting to eat that. Well, actually,
I think it is on camera. I haven't posted it, but that's on the frozen food review. Frozen pizza review channel I've got, just for fun.
It's like your entire body went into shock.
I think I saw the face of God.
Yeah, right.
That was life-altering.
Meaning the face of a flying spaghetti monster?
All I can tell you is what I thought was the best is no longer the best.
Right.
It completely shifted.
Well, even I liked it. So.
It completely shifted my definition of what good was. That's powerful. I'm no
Usually
spring
you
chicken.
And I vary, so that's the first one that both of us were.
We don't always vary, but yeah, there's things you like that I can't stand that you might rate it a higher the score than I'll rate it.
Yeah.
But this was undeniable.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're putting drugs in it or what they're doing.
Drugs.
They're doing something that nobody else is doing, and I can't tell you what it is other than it's fresh and it's pure, and it's any individual ingredient on that pizza you could eat by itself. You could eat just the bread.
That sauce.
You could eat just the sauce. You could eat just the cheese.
Yeah.
And all of it stands on its own, satisfying. And when you combine them, they don't compete with each other. It's like a band. It's like a symphony of flavors playing together in an orchestra of flavor that is in tune and on point. I might be drooling, I'm thinking about it. Thankfully, I ordered 4 of them. We got 3 left in the freezer. So happy. So happy. It's like giving a pacifier to a baby. Shut up and have some pizza, Carey. It'll work every time. Madturian said, if the mini PC came with the other style of power brick, where would you look or purchase an alternate one from? I wouldn't. Why would I do that? If I got the power brick that has the plug on the end, I just get a little extension cord. It's not a big deal. Who cares? An extension cord is cheap. You can get 6-foot extension cords by the dozen on Amazon for just a couple of dollars. They're not expensive and they're not hard to find. If this power supply were to die on me and I had to replace it out of warranty, it's a standard laptop power supply. As long as the barrel connector is the right size, 19 volts and 120 watts is pretty standard and easy to find. No big deal. You can play this what-if game all day. It's a pointless game, and I think it's a little childish, because what you're doing is you're planning for an event that doesn't actually happen and never will happen. And any discussion about what would we do if, what would I do if a comet fell out of the sky and landed in my front yard? I'm not going to waste my time thinking about such a bizarre hypothetical that's unlikely and improbable. However, if it happens, I'll deal with it. But in my entire life and in your entire life, and everybody who watches this video across the planet, that will likely never experience a close encounter with a meteor like that. So to discuss what we would do in preparation for it is just like what would happen if Batman and Superman fought. It's a pointless discussion. It has nothing to do with reality. So if you want to spend your time playing around with your imagination, you're not doing anything wrong, but I don't want to join you in that little game. You can daydream all day long. When you have real problems, I'll give you real answers. When you have imaginary problems, I'll give you imaginary answers, okay? And I'm just saying, know what to expect from me. You give what you get. So when you have an actual real problem, I can provide a solution every time. But when you just make up problems in your head, I cannot help you. That's more psychology than it is technical work. Pikeman said, was it Buddy's Pizza from Detroit? It was, yeah, it was, and it was good. In fact, people are like, oh, try Motor City Detroit style. Try Screamin' Sicilian Detroit style. They're not the same. They're not even close. Well, kind of close, but not really. I should just do a side-by-side, you know, put all 3, because I've already reviewed each one of those individually. But I would say that they have the spirit. You know, Screaming Sicilian has the spirit. They don't have the right ingredients and they don't prep it the right way. For example, those frozen pizzas have plastic trays. No Detroit pizza place cooks their pizza in a plastic tray. That's not how it's made. Detroit style pizzas will have the sauce in, like, they'll stripe it across the top. No frozen pizza does that. So they're sort of in the spirit of it, but they taste different. A Detroit style pizza is only about that tall, but the ones that are frozen are about that, almost twice, maybe 50% thicker. You get a lot more bread and a lot less of everything else. And everything else also isn't of the same quality as what Buddy's is using. So it might satisfy a craving, when you cannot get the original, but you can get the original, so you don't have to suffer with Trader Joe's version of a Detroit-style pizza, which, in my opinion, is nothing at all like a Detroit-style pizza, other than they use the words Detroit-style pizza. When you get a frozen pizza from Buddy's, shipped through Goldbelly, it's in a metal seasoned pan. You understand the difference between a metal seasoned pan being cooked in versus a plastic tray? Because if you don't waste your money. Just keep buying your frozen pizzas at the grocery store. It's a waste. For me, what a difference in how it cooked, how it tasted, the sauce on top, the presentation of how it looked, and the fact that it's not all bread like everybody else. I couldn't quite put my finger at the time when I reviewed Screaming Sicilian's Detroit style or Motor City's Detroit style. I like them. They are good, but they're not Buddies. And I couldn't tell you why. Now I can tell you why. And now I can even prove it to you by setting a Buddies frozen in a package next to, let's say, Screaming Sicilian and Motor City, and even more extreme, a Geno's East Chicago deep dish. The Chicago deep dish is about that big, and a Detroit style is about this big. Just setting them next to each other, you'll see there is a massive difference. And likewise, the Screamin' Sicilian and the Motor City pizza in their plastic trays without the sauce on top not only don't use as good of ingredients, they don't cook as well, and they're also taller. The Buddy's pizza is only about this tall. It's not this big bready thing that people make it out to be in the frozen food aisle. And if you don't have it to compare and you're just going off memory, it might be close enough to satisfy you for $9. But I'd rather spend the $30 and have the real thing, because it's worth it. At least to me. Take my pizza seriously. Don't mess with my pizza. Otherwise, I'll just make some Totino's pizza rolls and then feel guilty about how terrible whatever genetically modified organisms I've been eating. Like living in the Jetsons, man. It's nasty. I was thinking I should make my own pizza rolls. I should go buy some wonton wraps. And then they sell these little pearls of mozzarella that you can buy like as a snack, and they sell them in a little package where you get like a dozen of them. And then buy a package of pepperoni, and then get some sauce, and just take a little spoonful of sauce and put it on the wonton wrap, put a little pearl of mozzarella on there, stick a pepperoni on top, or whatever toppings you get, a little tiny space to work in, fold it over, stick it in the oven. Better yet, if you've got a deep fryer, I bet you'll never want to eat another Totino's. You won't ever taste it the same again. It'll alter your life. I just don't want to put that much work into it. So let them make it, let them ship it to me, and I'll just put it in the oven. I can handle that. And it was amazing. It was too good to be true. I'm like, there's no way this is going to taste the same as being there. I was wrong. And in fact, looking at the Lombardi's reviews on YouTube, my pizza that I got sent from Lombardi's didn't look like what people were reviewing on YouTube. What I got was way, way better. So I don't know if something's changed, or maybe I ordered something different, but I just went with the old staple, the original, you know, and I'm like, holy cow. It completely changed my view of what a good pizza is. Maybe I can get Lombardi's to sponsor me and they can send me free pizzas. Yeah, I'll be in a hospital is what'll happen. I'll overeat and end up, you know, needing surgery. Those pizzas are actually pretty healthy, though. When you look at how they're made and the ingredients they use, they not only taste better and taste fresher, they're actually better for you than the cheap crap at the grocery store. If that makes me feel any more justified. No, I have to eat this. It's good for me. Doctor's orders. Andy says, oh, that would also make a good present for somebody who has everything. Oh, absolutely. It's easy to order food locally, but what about your favorites from where you grew up, or your, you know, maybe you went on vacation somewhere and you really liked a restaurant you ate at. That's what Buddy's is for me. Whenever I go to Michigan, I always eat there. But now I can have it anytime I want. It's good here in America. What an amazing opportunity to explore what the United States as a whole has to offer without the expense and time needed to travel. It'll come to you for a fraction of the cost of what it would cost you to go get it yourself. And in some cases, like Pizzeria Bianco, there's an hour-and-a-half line before they open the doors. It's so hyped up. And there's no to-go. You have to eat it there. They don't have a box. But if you order it on, even if I ordered it on Goldbelly from Phoenix to Phoenix, it would show up at my door, no line, no waiting. I don't have to get in the car, find a parking spot. I can eat it at 10 o'clock at night, even if they're closed. This is the future. I love it. The thing is, they've been around like 5 years. I've only just now learned about them. I said to my brother, I said, are you aware of this website, Goldbelly? He goes, am I aware of it? I've been ordering from them for years. Well, you never told me about it. He goes, oh yeah, you know, I was in, he says, you remember the bagels we had growing up in Detroit? I said, yeah, I can't find bagels like that anywhere. He goes, and I'm assuming my brother did his research. He goes, the reason why Michigan bagels taste different than everybody else, like a New York bagel, is barley. They use barley in them. Most people don't. But he had a trip to Montreal. And he said when he was in Montreal, the bagels there reminded him of the bagels we ate as children growing up in Michigan. I'm like, there's no way. Because people in New York are like, Canadian bagels are terrible. But there's a rivalry there. Canadians will say the New York bagels are terrible. So I just took the New Yorker side of it. But New York bagels are swollen to the point where the hole in the middle is sealed up. Canadian bagels are big, sort of flatter, in a much larger hole. And a Detroit bagel is somewhere in between. It's much more, by description, closer to the Canadian bagel. If it were a little bit, not as wide, the Canadian bagel, if the hole was more of about the size of a quarter, no bigger than that. So it's neither. He goes, yeah, but the taste is the same, regardless that it looks a little different. I'm going to order you some and send them to you. I go, no, you don't have to. He goes, too late, I already did. So next week, I'm expecting FedEx to arrive with about 24 bagels. And I got to go to the store and buy some cream cheese. And if what my brother said is true, then that's going to be a trip down memory lane. Because the last time I had a real Detroit bagel, the way that we used to have them, was 1980. So imagine waiting 46 years to have that again. I don't want to set myself up for disappointment. I remain cautiously optimistic that my brother is right. But he's paying for it. So, okay, ship them to me. I'll just have to make room in the freezer. I'm not eating 24 bagels that quickly. But, you know, if I eat half a bagel a day and I like them, then that's essentially 48 days worth of breakfasts for me. So I'm looking forward to it. And these are more examples of the kind of foods that you can get off Goldbelly. It's not just pizza. Mark Gaines says, Carey, are you planning to review the AceMagic G3A when it comes out? Well, that's a very expensive mini PC. And AceMagic has two very expensive mini PCs out right now. They have the renovated tank, which looks exactly the same on the outside, but it's more of an AI processing machine. And I don't use AI for anything. It's just cool. And the G3A, I think, is that the Nintendo looking one? Let me pull it up on the screen real quick because AceMagic makes a bunch. Oh, wait a minute. That's the little tower, right? That's the little AI workstation. It's like 3.5 liter size, much more like the MSO2 from Miniswarm. No, I don't have any plans because I don't need it. There's nothing that's a workstation for AI computation. I have no interest in it. If AceMagic says, let me tell you this. We did get an email from AceMagic that said, we've got a machine coming out that's very expensive. Would you be interested in reviewing it under the terms and conditions that you must return it to us? What is it? We can't tell you. When are you going to ship it? We can't tell you. What's it contain? We can't tell you. All we can tell you is it's very expensive and you can't keep it. We just want to know, would you like to receive it under the condition that you return it? And I'm like, are you paying for the return shipping? They said yes.
Fine. Maybe it's the G3A. If that's the case, we'll review it because it's free. But we will not buy one. We don't have the financial funds available to us, not even close. We're short by about $2,700. And I don't really personally have any use case. It's more of a curiosity for software developers using AI. Somebody's got to do it, right? So I'm curious about it, but not curious enough to put my money into it. But if they want to send us one under the terms and conditions, we send it back. I don't want it anyway. I'm happy to send it back. It's actually doing me a favor. So Mara told me about this. She's working with Ace Magic on it. And she said, yeah, we're interested. And they said, okay, we'll get back to you when we're ready. So we might just see one. And I think it's from the way they're describing it, unless they got something else, it's probably the G3A. But if they never send it to us, I don't care. Like, you know, if we got it, great. And if we don't have it, it's fine. I don't think many of you would buy it. I don't think many people are going to buy it. Unless you're a software developer or you're an enthusiast at a level of creating your own code, AI code. It's a very limited audience. But interesting, still interesting. Not practical, not useful to most people, but interesting. Mark Leibowitz said, New York bagel is boiled before baking. Well, I think all bagels, if they're right, you know, if they're proper bagels, they're boiled before baking universally. But apparently the bagels we had were made with barley, and that's where the secret is. And they're still boiled the same. New York bagels are boiled. I think Montreal bagels are boiled. I'm pretty sure they're all boiled. Not every place that sells bagels boils them, but a traditional bagel is boiled, regardless of how the dough is made. And that's pretty much what's going to give it that crispy outside, like a pretzel, and the soft inside. If I go to Einstein's Bagels, a very popular chain here in the United States, the bagels are soft like a loaf of bread. That's not, they taste okay, but they should be like more like a pretzel, like a fresh baked pretzel that's hard and crunchy on the outside and soft and fluffy in the middle, like a French fry ought to be. In my world, that's how I was raised. That's what, when somebody said to me as a child, this is what a bagel is, that forever defined what a bagel was, and anything different is unacceptable. So my brother says these bagels in Montreal are close, very close to what we had in Detroit, and I hope he's right, because wouldn't that be great for me? Because I miss them. I miss those bagels. Even going back to Michigan, they don't taste the same. They don't even look the same. He said, I asked my brother, because he's older than me and has a better memory, because he was older when we would, I go, what was the name of the bagel place? And he says it was called Baltimore Bagels. Well, what the hell is there a place called Baltimore Bagels in Michigan? In Detroit, of all places. He goes, I don't know. I'm just telling you that's what it was called. Baltimore is not known for its bagel. I'm Googling Baltimore Bagels. Maybe the place in Baltimore sells them. Nope. I have no idea. And that company's long gone, long out of business. So I tried. Oh, if you ask me, at the end of the month, I should have had a taste of them by then, and I'll tell you. My brother said, look, if you don't like them, throw them out. I won't know. I said, well, don't waste your money, because I don't mind. Too late. It's already ordered. And they don't make them and ship them overnight. In this case, it depends on who you're buying from, but it looks like the bagel place has a dedicated one day that they fulfill any online orders, and they'll do that like on a Monday so that they can ship without hitting a weekend or anything. That way you get them fresh. So they're probably working on the previous week's orders this week, and then my brother's order next week, and then I'll get it the day they make it. They'll ship it, and I'll get it overnight. But just because you ordered it doesn't mean they stop the presses and get to making your order. Buddy's was pretty quick, but it still took a couple days for them to get it ready.
Once it's made, it ships the same day it's made, basically, or within 24 hours. So freshness. And then I thought, you know, is the ice going to survive in the Arizona heat? Yep, because it didn't ship for 3 days. If it was in a 3-day shipping, it would have all been melted. And they said, that's okay if it's melted, just put it in the freezer. But I don't trust it. I'm not comfortable with that. The fact that it arrived frozen solid and the ice packs were still solid was very reassuring that they're not messing about. And the price of shipping is built into the Gold Belly price. They say free shipping, but that $99 for the 3 pizzas included overnight shipping in that price. Suddenly, it's starting to sound like a really good deal. You're thinking $100 for pizza is a lot of money. No, not for 3 pizzas shipped overnight with packed ice and dry ice. All of that container shipping and ice costs money. It adds weight, that costs more to ship, and they're shipping it overnight, which costs more. That's a bargain. Bargain. If I Google how a Montreal bagel is made, I don't know that what he's sending me is a typical Montreal bagel. He was in Montreal and he stopped at this particular bakery, and that bakery served bagels that my brother said is exactly like what we had growing up, taste-wise. They look a little different. He said it's a Montreal bakery. It's a bagel from Montreal. He's not saying all Montreal bagels taste this way, just so we're clear. He doesn't know. All he can tell you is, well, he was there, he went to this bagel shop and just kind of fell into it. Wow. But if we Google it, just out of curiosity, how is a Montreal style? He never said it was a Montreal style. He just said they came from Montreal. How is a Montreal style bagel made? I'll bet you they boil them. Yeah, they're boiled in honey-sweetened water and baked in a wood-fired oven, resulting in a sweeter, denser, and crunchier bagel than its New York counterpart. See, it's that crunchy part, but their bagels have a much bigger hole and than the Detroit bagels. And they, as far as puffing up, New York bagels, they like proof them overnight or like for a day, and that makes them really puffy. That's not the way a Michigan bagel was, or at least the Detroit bagels that we used to get, which apparently are from Baltimore. I don't know. I don't know. It's really confusing. They say the dough is made using high gluten flour, water, yeast, honey, eggs, and oil, but notably no salt. The dough is divided and rolled out into thin, long strands by hand. The ends are joined together by rolling the seam against the palm or table to form a ring with a center hole. It is boiled. This quick bath gelatinizes the starches, giving the bagel its signature shiny, slightly sweet exterior and chewy interior. It is dredged. Immediately after boiling, while the bagels are still wet and sticky, they are generously dressed in seeds, most commonly poppy or sesame. My brother sent me a dozen everything and a dozen sesame, I think. And then wood-fired oven, just like as a preference of mine for a pizza. Wood-fired, coal-fired, anything like that is going to have an effect on the crust of the pizza. I don't know how they were cooked in Michigan. Was too young to know there was a difference. But fire roasted is good. So I don't know if what my brother is sending me is Montreal style, but it is a bakery in Montreal. Okay, just so I'm clear in that. Mark says, I'm going on the bagels we used to get when visiting Montreal during the 1970s. I confess to being a New York bagel snob. Fair enough. I mean, most New Yorkers are. But Essa Bagels sells on Gold Belly, and they're very famous in New York, and I don't care for it. They're okay, don't get me wrong. I wouldn't turn one away. But it's not nostalgic of my childhood. It's just a good bagel. But do I want to spend $60 on Goldbelly to get 2 dozen bagels from Essa? Maybe if I grew up in New York on them, I would, but I didn't. And they were good, but they weren't what I grew up eating. That's all. So in much the same way I'm a Detroit bagel snob because that's where I grew up, it makes sense you would be a New York bagel snob. He says he'd like to try Detroit-style bagels. Well, so would I if I could find some. I've never been able to find them, even in Michigan. The bagels I had are different. So I'm not going to the right places, or my brother's already done the work and is sending me the answer, which I'm hopeful that will be the end result. Either way, free bagels. All right, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out. It's fun kind of shifting the topic there. I do have another channel called Frozen Pizza Reviews if you're interested. And I'm covering the gamut of pizza rolls and French bread pizzas and deep dish and thin crust and Neapolitan style. And if it's a pizza, I want to taste it, record it, and archive it for my own history. Because sometimes I forget, did I have this one before and did I like it? So just for myself, I'm going to eat it anyway. And unlike videos like this that cost hundreds of dollars, they cost like $10 to make a video like that. And unlike videos that go on for 4.5 hours or 3.5 hours, these videos are 10, 15 minutes long. So they're super easy to record, edit, and put up. I'm just looking for other areas to explore because I'm seeing the end of the tunnel on this kind of stuff. I hope it's not going to be the end of the tunnel, but just in case, I want to fall back on something else here on YouTube that I can do. But I don't want to put a lot of money and time into it. So I'm having a good time. That's really all it's about. We're having fun. And if you're interested, check it out. There's no monetization on that channel. It's still new and doesn't have enough views. And for me to qualify to even turn monetization on requires 3,000 hours of watch time in a year, which is pretty easy to get when you're making 3-hour videos. But when your videos are 10 minutes, it's going to take a while. So I'm not doing it for the money. I'm doing it for the fun. Hopefully the money will come, but if it doesn't, I'm still loving pizza. And as far as this stuff goes, you know, if it dies off and the public interest wanes, I still have my job. I still have businesses, right? But it may mean a change for this channel. And I'm probably just having a little anxiety attack because I knew 2026 was going to be a difficult year. But saying it and living it are two different things. And now that it's almost the middle of the year and it's only gotten worse, things do not look good. But I'm still hopeful they'll turn around. And if they don't, I don't know what I'm going to do for this channel. But it's not going anywhere. If you guys don't go anywhere, I'm not going anywhere. We just have to figure out what we're going to do. That's all. I don't know the answer yet. I'm hoping it'll just solve itself and we'll be back to normal. It's too early to tell, and we don't know when to call it. It could be this time next year and things may not change. Who knows? But I'm hopeful things change before then. So that's the reality of all the content creators on YouTube and tech right now. We're even motherboard manufacturers, ASUS, Gigabyte, ASRock, and MSI have never seen such low sales in years. And they're worried. They are very, very worried that they're going to have to leave the industry. So we'll see how long the investors hold out for things to turn around, or we're going to be saying goodbye to some of these manufacturers. I don't want to be doomsday, but I just don't want you to be surprised if it happens. But let's hope it doesn't. There's not much we can do other than be spectators and continue to enjoy our hobby. And in the meantime, I still fall back on actual work with clients anyway. That's not going to change. So, yeah, fun note to I'm just working. I'm thinking about it. I'm not panicked. I'm planning for a likely outcome. It could go either way. It's not just my imagination. This is really happening, and we just don't know where that ball is going to land on the roulette table. Is it going to be red or black? It's going to land somewhere. And we don't know when it's going to stop or what color or number it's going to land on. But it is going to stop. And when it does, I hope we're ready regardless. That's all I'm saying. So that'll wrap it up for me. Thank you guys again for watching. Thank you to our members for making these videos possible. We'll follow up with AOOSTAR. And a thank you again for the Amazon gift cards and contributions from Luke Greeny and Mark Gaines and our friend Buster. And thanks to everybody in our chat room and our community, regardless of financial support. We appreciate having your company and being a part of this community. We're so happy to have you here. I hope you'll join us again. Tomorrow is members only videos. We do live for our members only, our friends in green, as our thank you. And we have exclusive content that will never be free. It's only for the members. And it's just a benefit of membership. It's a way of saying thank you, to give them exclusive content. And it's a smaller crowd, so it's much more intimate. And it's open to all members. So hopefully, if you're a member, you'll join us tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Thanks to Mara, our channel administrator, for all the work she does in the background, making our thumbnails from scratch, doing the research for the video descriptions, and answering your emails. If you want to email us, our email address right here on screen is how you can reach us. We're always happy to hear from you, and we look forward to hearing from you. That's going to wrap it up for me for today. We'll see the members tomorrow. Everybody else will be back on Wednesday at 1 o'clock. Until then, bye for now.